Ironman Raceway, a place synonymous with racing, and this year, unlike any other. 50 years we're celebrating GNCC, Motocross of Nations, Pro Motocross Outdoor. It's all happening here at Ironman Raceway, but today it's all about off-road. Hunter Hart coming off a big win, his first win of the year. Can he repeat here on the Ironman property at the Hoosier GNCC? All that and more starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Round number 7, Johnny Gallagher. We are, well, for me, back home and again in Indiana. This round, the Hoosier GNCC, and the folks, the local folks, kind of get a taste of what a championship hunt is like. Of course, coming into this one, Johnny, what a difference a couple of weeks makes. We're going to have hot, it's going to be dry, it's going to be dusty. We go back a couple of weeks. That was not the case. It was a mutter, and the man that we've been so hard on for about a season and a half now, Hunter Hart, showing he can still hang, grabbing a win.
Absolutely, you know, and I've said it for years, and I'll say it again. Conditions like that, they just make opportunities for riders, and it was an opportunity for Hunter Hart to get himself in the center of the box, get some big points, get his confidence rolling, and he rode amazing. Came from the back of the pack.
Yes.
Came up through and passed everybody, including Bryson Neal, to grab the win. A big statement from Hunter Hart. Bryson Neal obviously hanging out in that number 2 spot. More valuable points for him as he continues to stretch out that overall championship points lead. And then Josh Merritt rounding out the top 3 on the box in, as you said it, Mikey, what could only be described as a
mutter is right.
I saw some carnage after the race. The amount of water that was ingested by racers and machines in the PM race, it was just crazy conditions, but you know, Hunter Hart made it work, grabbed the win, and it was a great day of racing.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think 2 takeaways from that. One, Hunter Hart, like I said, he can still show, hey, he's got what it takes. He's been telling us on air, off air, if I can just get up there and fight with those guys early, I feel like I have a shot. Well, he had that opportunity, and he held true to his word and grabbed the win. I think the other side of it is Bryson Neal. There's absolutely no panic button for him. He's still in control of the championship hunt, and unfortunately, the man who was in that fight with him, Walker Fowler, a DNF on the day.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a panic button. I mean, Walker has a lot of confidence, a lot of experience. He's won 7 of these titles. He's won more GNCC races than any rider in history on 2 or 4 wheels. But he, unfortunately, during the live feed just 2 weeks ago, was in here with us when he should have been out there racing, and you could sense the disappointment, the frustration, and the realization for him that, you know, he was very much in this championship hunt, and even with the DNF, still solidly second in points. I mean, those 2 had just gapped everybody points-wise. But now, I mean, that's a 25-point loss to Bryson Neal in one day. He pretty much said it at this point. He said, you don't wish anything bad on anybody,
absolutely.
But at this point, I need Bryson to have a bad race to put me back in this championship hunt. And, you know, he's had 2 weeks to reset. We'll see how it comes, but it was a big blow to his championship hopes in 2025.
It certainly was, and we talk about momentum. Johnny, you talk about how huge that is for riders. A guy carrying the momentum today, obviously Hunter Hart, Josh Merritt getting back on the box.
A confidence starting to come together, a rider who is very much in the thick of the battle for that number 3 spot in 2024. Big steps for him 2 weeks ago and looking to do it again today. We're getting ready to get our action underway here. We're going to let our man Mikey Waynes head down, do some 10-second calls, and we're going to bring you all of the action live on Racer TV when we come back right after this.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
last week it ruined somebody much worse. So
every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at AMSOIL.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
For Columbia Flag and Sign Company, and $250 towards a new set of tires from Canate. Michael, on behalf of not just Racer Productions, but all of your GNCC brothers and sisters, we present you with this token. This plaque is the AMSOIL Moto Hero. It is because men and women like you serve our country and provide us with the freedoms of racing here in Indiana on a Saturday afternoon. So, Michael, thank you very much for all that you do and all of the brothers and sisters in our armed forces that are here and around the world protecting our freedoms. And now that we have your attention, let's all get in an attitude of prayer. One of the things that I like most about GNCC Racing is the values that we are founded on. Did you know at a typical GNCC race, we say the prayer 9 times. We sing the national anthem 8 times. And we say the Pledge of Allegiance once. We believe that oftentimes we forget the foundation in which we stand on. And so take a moment and listen to these words from Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Tim. Hey, let's go to the Lord this afternoon. Let's have a word of prayer together. Heavenly Father, once again, we do thank you for bringing us all together safely. Lord, you blessed us with such a beautiful day. We thank you for that and all the small things you do for us every day that we take for granted. Lord, watch over these riders this afternoon. We ask you would keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. We do thank you for the Shaver family, for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to bless that family. And Lord, our military men and women that serve in the day and the ones that served in the past, thank you for each and every one of them. Continue to be with them. And our leaders, Lord, look after our leaders. Let them make the right decisions for our country at the high level and the local level. And all our policemen, firemen, and paramedics, and all our communities across the United States, every day protecting us. Be with them and keep them safe. Lord, we've been coming here a long time. There have been a lot of good memories made here. We just ask that maybe this afternoon there can be a few more memories made, and then we'll start heading down the road home. Take us all home safely so that one day we can get back together like this and have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ricky. If we can get our XC2 riders to step up to that front line. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to honor America. But I challenge you for the next minute and 26 seconds to listen to the words. Oftentimes we go through the motions, but let's listen to the words, and it will remind ourselves why we truly live in the greatest nation on the planet Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, all right, all right. We are just about ready to set it off now, and we want to say hello to those watching at home, out and about from Racer or on RacerTV.com. I got a thumbs up from Jeremy Holbert. So, without further ado, which means no more nonsense. Not that any of that was nonsense, but that means it's go time, baby. Let's do the thing. Rolling to the line in accordance to points, coming in to round number 7. The number 1 out of Bidwell, Ohio, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line next, he shaved the goatee. He said, that did not work, I'm getting rid of it. That's the number 2 out of Rogers, Ohio, aboard the WFR Kenda and Fly Racing backed Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Up next, the number 6 out of Newfield, New York, on an HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech backed Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Up next, the number 4 out of Akron, Ohio, aboard the Merritt Racing, B&R Motorsports, and GBC-backed Yamaha, Josh Merritt. The 712 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, riding aboard the Pierce Performance Action Off-Road and Phoenix Racing Yamaha, John Galata Jr. The number 5 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, aboard the B&R Motorsports Fearless and Kenda Tires backed Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. The number 3 out of Hillsboro, Ohio, aboard the SBR, GBC, and Pierce Performance backed Yamaha, Wyatt Wilkin. The number 10 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Action Off-Road, AMSOIL, and CB Racing backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. The number 9 out of Casca, Pennsylvania, aboard the JMR, GBC, and Elka backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. The number 18 out of Acme, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Action Off-Road, Kenda, and Custom Access backed Yamaha, Jay Shadrod. The 714 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Bulletproof Doors, Kenda Tires, and Senge Graphics backed Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. The 521 out of Waverly, West by God, West Virginia, riding aboard the Ober Moose Racing and Parts Unlimited backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. The 171 out of Salisbury, North Carolina, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, Grayson Eller. Up next, Indiana Zone, the 703, riding out of Petersburg, Indiana, on the Action Off-Road Maxxis and Lone Star Racing backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. And last but certainly not least, the 246 out of Walker, West Virginia, on the Sturdivant Racing Maxxis and Moose Racing backed Yamaha, Brandon Owens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro class here at the AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC. And as our pro riders select their spot on row number 1, it is DJ Judd exiting the Mobile Entertainment Activation Transport. He will hop into the Yamaha R Max 1000. And a reminder, all spectators must be behind the white stringer line. All spectators must be behind the white stringer line outside of our staff and authorized media. I think you guys are doing about 99.9% well, but you got to be behind the white stringer line. Thank you, ladies. DJ Judd has exited the starting line. We have a thumbs up from our track officials, and now all eyes will fixate down into turn number 1, where Ricky Towery steps out onto the track, and he lets our riders know 1 minute until we're ready to go. AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC Racing. As Ricky now steps back, he will keep his eye on the time. And there it is. The blue flag waves, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now, and I gotta ask you, Indiana, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but it is the month of May in the state of Indiana. If you race anything, you are here in this state. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and we're off. XC1 Pro class jockeys for position. Oh, the number 1, Bryson Hill. No, it's going to be Jay Shadron. The number 18, Jay Shadron. Jay Shadron takes the lead here at the AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC with Bryson Neal in tow as we reset the deck with the XC2 Pro-Am class. A whole shot award up for grabs courtesy of B&R Motorsports. 10 seconds. Keaton Henderson, Dalton Keys, Andrew Bonofsky, Andre Williams, Braxton Gross, Kenny Schick, Nick Royalty, Alex Tiemann, Alex Elioff, Jeremiah Wolf, Chase Allison, Dylan Walraven. Too close to call. I think that was Kenny Schick. We're going 2-5. I don't know. That one's up for debate. I think it may be Alex Tiemann. We may have to go to the tape on that one. Too close to call. Kenny Schick minute when I told him I might give up the jacket for a win. 10 seconds. College A, 16-19. Talon Stout, Dylan Trigg, Trevor Meadows, Ryan Wilhelm, Caden Lambruno, Gavin Mann, Alec Bayless, Triple XO, Quinn Bergman, Brody Poland, Alan Jones, Jordan Berg. 2-8-5. Caden Lambruno out of Morgantown, West Virginia, grabbing that whole shot, an early lead right there as we got them shut down. And we reset here for row number 4. Vet A, 28 plus. 10 seconds. Tom Coons Jr., Jason Como, Sam Bunch, Hunter Johnson, Alan Blavos, Christopher Kirby, Simon Warren, Zach Bothwell, J.D. Higgins, Fred Marley, and Justin Wells. Man, could not get my eyes on that one. That may have been, it looked like an 8-1 something. Show some love to Zach Bothwell and J.D. Higgins right there. 10 seconds. Junior A, 20 plus. David Machisco, Connor Brandt, Michael Worth, Ryan Hendershot, Jeremy Ledon, Riley Salick, Trevor Furby, Briggs Lozelle, Devin Masters, David Witt, Trace Furby, whole shot. Man, that might have been Michael Worth out in front. Going into turn 2, it is wide. Hard to get the eyes on it through the dust. Tough break for the 372 right there with some time to make up. 10 seconds. Senior A, 40 plus. Dirk DeCerci, Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, and the Marlboro man, Todd Muscala. Jeff Pickens on that inside line. It'll pay off, and he'll hang on for a whole shot. An early lead, trying to get one push started. And Ricky Towery saying, push it off to the side, Wait on the signal from Ricky Towery. Keep pushing. Tough break, still trying to get her fired up. Pay attention to the signal. He says, here we go. 10 seconds. College B, 16-18. Keelan Eichelberger, James Berger, Brady Torres, Max Rodriguez, Austin Kiger, J.N. Mittner, Eli Davis, Barrett Childers, side by side for the whole shot. Too close to call. That might have been a tie right there for the early lead. They're still going to battle in turn number 3. A heated one out of the College B, just how we like it. Junior B, ready to roll. 10 seconds. Hunter Griffith, Russell Fulford, Ethan Smith-Burke. Name so good they gave him 4. There's a 4th one in there, I promise you. Owen Fitzgerald, Evan Young, Michael Miller, Colton Dooley, Ian Burns, and that is going to be the 801 of Tristan Howell. Grabbing that whole shot, an early lead right there as we reset the deck with the Vet B, 28 plus. As the dust settles, little tangle up in the second turn. And here we go, 10 seconds. Vet B, 28 plus, Zach Grenoble, Matthew Del Nero, Daniel Hash, Tyler Travis, Eric Murphy, Jared Manners, Michael Brown, Brent Pennington, Barry Nicholson, Sean Metz, Joe Rutherford, Tyler Miller wide around the outside, sets him up on the inside. And that looked like the 4-2-1 of Brad Pennington out of Edmonton, Kentucky. Putting that Will Wheels and Spider Graphics back ride to good use. 10 seconds. Senior B, 40 plus. Aaron Delancey, Jason Noble, Nicholas Ringer, Robert Perry, Gregory Head, Kenny Rich Jr., Matthew Carmichael, Forrest Cross, Chad Wallace, Neil Shepard, and Matthew Hartwell. No doubt about that one. That's going to be the 608 of Chad Wallace. And I think we've got all our machines off and rolling down here in turn number 1. We are off and rolling for the AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC. Jay Shadron grabbing the whole shot. Alex Tiemann, Kenny Schick in there for the whole shot out of the XC2 class. We'll have to see how that one sorts out. We'll go to the tape. We're going to word from our sponsors and be right back here in just a moment. This is the AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank. Hey! Bravo +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at AMSOIL.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 50th Annual Progressive Insurance Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. This is round 7, the 2025 AMSOIL Hoosier GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'm going to be alongside Zach Heron to bring you today's action along with Johnny G and, of course, Mikey Waynes. Zach, it is good to be back here in Indiana.
Man, absolutely. A name synonymous with GNCC Racing, the Ironman Raceway facility. Absolutely legendary, and I think we've got a legendary race on hands for us. No rain. We thought it might be another wet GNCC round, but a little bit of dust flying in the air. A super fast course. It's going to be a great weekend of racing.
Yeah, quite the opposite of what we were expecting coming into this one. Seeing that there was a chance of rain, that is definitely not the case going into today. A great racetrack for these riders.
Yeah, something I don't think any of the teams are upset about, but definitely going to be a new set of challenges out here in the dusty conditions as we take a look at our specialized start recap. Let's see how things got kicked off with our XC1 Pro class. It was a battle, a little bit of bar banging and a whole bunch of sliding around. Going into turn number 1. Look at this. Austin Abney that's beyond slideways right there. Gets straightened back out by Walker Fowler. Meanwhile, Chris Borich sneaks around the inside, steals the whole shot away from Bryson Neal. So it is Borich, Neal, Walker Fowler. Looks like possibly Merritt making a couple of quick moves just behind Adam McGill. And watch this. Josh Merritt tries to make a move around the outside. Oh, just gets off balance into that thick stuff, and a couple of riders able to slide back underneath them before they even dip off into the woods. Now we take a look at our XC2 class. And once again, a drag race going into turn number 1. Riders getting pinched off up the inside, and look at this. Too close to call at the line. Still waiting to get the official word, but it was either Alex Tiemann or Kenny Schick grabbing the whole shot. But how about it? I just want to say this is the first time I've seen Alex Tiemann up front off the start in a long time. Usually we're chatting with him on the podium, but I'm not sure if he's going to know what to do with this good of a start. We want to welcome Johnny G into the booth. Johnny, you know exactly what I'm talking about with those starts with Tiemann.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of bumping and grinding on those starts, guys, and the reason why? Dust. Everybody wants to be at the front. Everybody wants the clear vision, and I think Alex Tiemann with the clear vision he's going to be tough to beat today in that XC2 class.
Well, here is your Yamaha Racing track preview courtesy of OPAG, checking out this Hoosier GNCC course. And Johnny, like we said, there was a chance of rain coming into the weekend. We thought there may be another wet Hoosier GNCC on our hands, but no. The conditions have held out. A little bit of rain, but still going to see a lot of dust flying here today.
Yeah, we had some really high winds, had some storms roll through last night, dropped just a few sprinkles, but not even really enough to keep not quite as dusty as it was here on Thursday or Friday when they did this track preview clip, but there definitely is still a lot of dust flying out in these Hoosier Ironman GNCC fields. It's one of those courses that it's so dynamic. There's so many different sections to this track, so many different types of terrain. We've got the hills, we've got the flats, we've got the fields, we've got a lot of tight trails, and there's actually some new stuff. I got to check the course out myself, and they were able to find some new unridden trail, and I think it's going to really lead to an exciting day of racing.
Man, very exciting, absolutely. Always, the GNCC crew always looking for a little touch of new and some things to add. Believe this is your leaders on screen. And it still looked like that was Borich out front, Bryson Neal in the number 2 spot.
Well, that was actually Walker Fowler.
Was that?
Okay. And Bryson Neal. And I don't know if we missed Jay Shadron or if he has been passed. He was our leader there. He was out front on that number 18 machine, and then I just watched him come through the field right before I walked into the studio. He had gotten that whole shot. He was out front, and there you see John Glaude, who was actually caught in the back of the path, now making some passes, and a rider way behind Jared McClure. There is Chris Borich right there on the number 10 machine. It's hard to say how bad this dust is out in the fields, but look at how great the dirt is. Jared McClure, something happened to him in the first couple miles of racetrack. He was already a good 20, 30 seconds behind by the time they made it to the first field section. Leading the XC2 when I saw him just a moment ago, it was Alex Tiemann, but right behind him still that 259 of Kenny Schick. There is Tiemann, and just behind him was Braxton Gross on that, I believe, 223 machine, a multi-time XC2 winner already here in 2024.
Man, I'm actually impressed. This is at least my first view into the woods so far out here in the Hoosier. And Jackson and myself been at the finish line all day where we've had a ton of wind, or a ton of dust, I should say, but the wind has quickly moved it out. Not quite the same, though, here actually in the woods.
No, there is some good moisture. Did get to go out and check out on the track yesterday. In the woods, there's actually moisture coming up out of the ground, so at some point they've had some rain here. But, man, the wind is just brutal. That's really the story of the weekend so far, and it's just drying up. Everything that the sun and the wind can get to is getting very dry, but great dirt in the woods. Some of the guys even calling it hero dirt.
Here we go. I love it. Jackson and myself been chatting it up with our ATV, AM racers, and then youth racers as well. And Jackson, fast. That's what I keep hearing up on the podium is how quick this Hoosier track is. Some of them liking it. Some of them saying, I'm not even going to lie. It's pretty scary out there going wide open through some of these sections.
Yeah, and also hearing that there's some sections that are pretty tight for some of these riders. So we'll see if that's going to be the case here for this PM.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at with the dynamic aspect of this track is there's a lot of variety. Yes, I would say overall the track rides pretty fast. It has a good flow. But realistically, you know, there's some stuff that's tree to tree, first and second gear. Obviously, we know the fields here are just crazy fast when you get out. I mean, this is one of the few places where you may use fourth and fifth gear quite a bit, just carrying speed. We'll see. It looks like it may still be Shadron out front. No, that was. Let's see here. They should be coming. That was across the top. So they'll come back, circle back to this section here in a couple minutes, actually, after they check into the finish line. But, yeah, we don't know if it is still the 18 of Jay Shadron out front or if Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal have made the pass.
I don't know how I missed the headlights there off the start. I thought that was Boris grabbing the whole shot.
Yeah, it was the 18 of Shadron grabbed that whole shot. And then Walker Fowler, and we talked about that bumping and grinding, guys. You know, it was Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal. They were into it, not in a dirty way, but they were absolutely into each other, bumping, you know, bouncing off each other through the first several corners, and it just shows how important it is to get out front early in these races. We know, we've heard it so many times, a guy like Hunter Hart say, I just can't get a start, I can't get with these guys. Last race in the mud, he was able to come through and get to the lead, ultimately winning the race, but today when I saw him, he was back in about 11th place, and that's going to make for a challenging first couple of laps with the dust and just the track the way it is.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of ground to make up back in the 11th place spot, especially with all the dust that we're seeing today. But yeah, those starts are very crucial for Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, no doubt. I know exactly why those two wanting to get ahead of one another.
And you know, Bryson's in a little bit different position as far as where he's at in the points. Obviously, we know he's got a big gap now. Opening it up, he has a, would that be 126? So,
44?
Yeah, 44-point gap. I mean, that's a race, and Jackson quick with the
math. Over there,
44 points, you know, that's 30 points for a win and another 14 that he has in reserves. You know, so no matter what, he leaves here the points leader today, no matter what happens. But, you know, if you're Walker Fowler, you went from, you know, being only, I believe it was 20 points behind him or 19 points behind him 2 weeks ago. Now you're 44. Yeah. I mean, that is a big swing. This is almost getting into, like we talk about on Sunday, you know, with Stu Baylor and earlier in the season, Johnny Gerard. Like, if you want to be in this championship, you got to win, and that's, I think, Okay, so it is still, there was a bike in front of them, so I'm guessing it was Shadron. There is McGill there in the number 5 spot. There's Brandon Owens. There comes Josh Merritt. So as you pointed out, there is Shadron out front. He is just cruising right now, and it's not even that dusty, and these guys are still not on him. So he is really just setting a good pace here on lap number 1. It seems like this year we've seen Jay just get stronger and stronger and stronger as the year goes on. We talk about him running in a podium position at the Old Gray throughout much of the race. You know, we've talked about him being solidly in the top 5 many times already this season, and now we're seeing him out front and setting the pace and looking comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that's one of the big points that you talk about is the comfort of Shadron up at the front. He doesn't look like he's overriding the machine. And at that last long stint out front at the Old Gray, he was able to kind of fight for it there for a long time. He came under pressure a couple times and fought back. So, and it's good to see as well. But look at how much the riders have to check up going onto that bridge right there. Those are the little differences that I think Shadron are really using to his advantage right now.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where, you know, he can open up a couple bike lengths here, and then it kind of gives him a, you know, an opportunity to ride into his own rhythm, set his own pace. But the guys behind him are looking very hungry. You can see there Josh Merritt, Brandon Owens. There is Wyatt Wilkin, another rider who is very aggressive in the dust. There comes Austin Abney, and then just behind Abney looks to be the 714 of Ronnie Rush. Then it is Stephen Harrell. And there is Hunter Hart. So again, back near the tail end of the top 10. Looks like John Glauda Jr. has made some passes and is now up to just behind Hunter Hart there. And I believe the next two coming should be Chris Borch and then Jared McClure, both seemingly struggling a little bit here early on in this one. Dusty conditions, very, you know, track ticket's very rough. I think pacing yourself today, once you get past the first couple laps, is going to be important, but right now it's just an all-out sprint to try to get to the front for these guys.
Yeah, Adam McGill sitting in that 4th place spot. Mikey Wayne's actually got to catch up with him earlier. He said he was looking for a top 5 here today, and so far so good for him.
Yeah, there you go. There was McClure, and there is Borich. If we stay at this camera shot long enough, we may get a battle for the lead here. Alex Tiemann, and just there is Tiemann on cue. He had opened it up a bit over the 259 of Kenny Schick, and then just behind him, Braxton Gross was really, really chomping at the bit for an opportunity to try to get around Schick.
Man, so Tiemann making the most of that good start on this one. He was way far back at our last race and said he did not enjoy that. He was talking about how much he starts to realize how bad Roost hurts, and said, I've got to get these starts figured out. So there you see Kenny Schick making his way by, but Tiemann definitely opened things up.
And no Braxton Gross behind him there. So we do know there was some dust just before that. He could have been just off screen. But now look at this. Jay Shadron has now really opened it up, and that was not a dusty section of racetrack that they just came out of. So kudos to him. He's not only using the dust, but he's using that thumb throttle pretty aggressively and opening up a gap all on his own.
He is. So got to check in here with one lap complete to get this race started off. There it is. The 18 machine makes his way through.
And it's the 2 of Fowler, the 1 of Neal. So that is your top 3 overall checked in. 5 seconds is the lead right now that Jay Shadron has.
At 5.5 between Shadron and Fowler. Then are going to be about 2 seconds back from Fowler to Neal. Adam McGill going to check in 5 seconds back from Neal. And then 5 seconds back from McGill. Actually, 1 second back from McGill is going to be Brandon Owens in that 5th place spot.
Yep, and then now it is Josh Merritt, Wyatt Wilkin, and Austin Abney all checked in. And now here comes Ronnie Rush, Stephen Harrell, and like we said, guys, Hunter Hart still in that number 11 spot, not able to make any passes just yet. And if you look at the elapsed time, he is already with Jay Shadron at 20:46 to Hunter Hart at a 21:20, and he's 14 plus. He's 34 seconds behind already. That's an interesting little chicane. I didn't go down and check that out. But they are really making that tight little turn there to come through the pro pits, where they will be later on getting some fuel and any information they might need. Here comes Neal, and look at this jump ahead. Still Shadron out front again, looking comfortable, looking fast. And this has got to be a great feeling for him. I mean, this is a guy, we've talked about it so many times, really down a few years ago with some injuries and a lot of things, just holding him back, not able to do what he loves to do. Injuries that at times were thought to be maybe life-changing and potentially career-ending. And, fast forward a short amount of time here, just months, and here he is out here leading the way and leading the 2 previous champions, dating back all the way to 2015. The best in the business are right behind him, and he looks comfortable, doesn't look like he's really under pressure at all.
Well, and he's kind of flicking that machine around. I mean, we were watching in a couple of those drier sections. He's setting up the corner well in advance, kind of steering with the rear end, and then getting a great drive. I mean, absolutely firing on all cylinders right now.
Look at this battle. That's Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin, and they are absolutely all over each other. In that previous corner, they touched wheels multiple times. There's Austin Abney. Man, that's a battle between those two. Ronnie Rush, and looks like we had another battle here between Stephen Harrell, and Hunter Hart is throwing everything at it, trying to get around Harrell, trying to make any passes to get himself even up into the top 10, let alone, last round's winner wants to get himself closer to the front sooner than later.
Man, so the guy's taking notes out of Joel Hetrick's books and launching those quads up and over. I always love a little airtime here at GNCC. It's a rare occurrence.
Yeah, we were just here last week for it, so they might have got to take a glimpse of it as we make our way back out onto this field where the rider started from. Shadron doing exactly what he needs to do, opening up that gap.
This is interesting to see the way this race, I think, is going to shape up, because if you're Bryson Neal and you're Walker Fowler, Jay Shadron is a seasoned veteran. He's not a rookie out there. He's not likely to make the big mistake and just hand over the position. And with the dust and the vision the way it is and the way this track is laid out, passing is at a premium. It's going to be difficult to have those opportunities. So it's going to be kind of a chess game of, look at that, Hunter Hart has now gotten around Harrell, so takes over the number 10 spot. I think it's really going to come down to who has a better strategy. Because in order to make passes in some of these sections of racetrack, you're going to have to set it up well in advance. Make sure you're in the right position and committed to the line, because the lines are all so even. I'm really curious to see, because right now it doesn't look like Walker's close enough to even make an attempt on Shadron, but also Bryson isn't close enough to really make an attempt on Walker. So I think what's going to happen is for the next couple laps, things are going to stabilize a bit unless somebody has a really good line picked out. Obviously, if somebody makes a mistake, but it's going to be interesting because it's not going to open up big gaps like what we've seen at some of our races. I think we're going to kind of continue to just see this wheel-to-wheel racing for the next couple laps. Pit stops will be a big part of the strategy today.
I hope we get this wheel-to-wheel racing continue.
I hope so, too.
That last bike through was Alex Tiemann, so that's your XC2 leader, and here they are now heading back into the woods, and it seems to tighten up where there's not as much dust. I think they're able to all get a little closer to each other, but now they have shaken Adam McGill off just a little bit. Shout out to Brandon Owens there in that number 5 spot. And then Merritt still holding off Wilkin for now, but Wilkin looks very determined to get himself back up to the rear wheels and continue that battle.
Seems like those two just find each other time and time again there with Merritt and Wilkin.
Was that not the story of 2024?
It was.
2024. They just absolutely were glued together throughout nearly the entire season.
Maybe we can catch another shot of Thiemann here. It didn't look like Kenny Schick was anywhere to be found there in that last camera shot, so Thiemann opening up a gap.
Yeah, when we look, Thiemann there in the number 13 spot overall with a 24-second lead when they came through at the completion of lap number 1. So, yeah, he was able to open up the gap, but Braxton Gross 5 seconds behind Kenny Schick. So that's really the battle there. And then Logan Steele only another 5 seconds back there in the number 4 spot. James Glauda, Jeremiah Wolf, and Dalton Keys basically all wheel-to-wheel when they cross the finish line.
Yeah, Braxton Groves having some good luck there in the mud, but I'm sure he's going to be happy for a dry day here today.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker for him. Was up running in the lead. The machine started to have some problems and then ultimately retired on the last lap with no points. Just a rough day for him. He really wants to be in that battle with Thiemann for that championship, but nonetheless, it was a big day for a lot of riders. We had Elijah Edmondson with his first ever XC2 win, and then Kenny Schick with a second, and I believe, I kind of forget who got third there. Sorry about that one, but we'll look it up. But yeah, there was some different faces on the podium for sure in that XC2 class, and Braxton Gross kind of struggling a bit with his machine there at the end. And there is Gross just behind Kenny Schick now, and just behind them it is Logan Steele. So Logan Steele has latched on to those two riders, and they are battling over those final podium positions here in that XC2 class. Guys, we don't always get to stick around long enough to see the XC2 riders, but when we do, they're always battling. They provide a lot of exciting racing action for sure.
That was Thiemann.
Oh, okay. Alex did get third. Maybe that's why we were blanking, because I was thinking it was somebody different. But yeah, and there is Dalton Keys coming by as well now, home state Indiana boy.
And take a look at this. Between Alex Thiemann and Braxton Groves, they have flip-flop each race. So is Thiemann getting the win at round 1, Groves getting the win at round 2, and vice versa all the way until round 6 when Elijah got his first win.
Yep. Yeah, that's really been the battle for that championship here so far. And even last year, Braxton had some rough races first year coming over to this coast, being a California kid, but he won some races and really kind of wanted to be in that championship mix. I think that's why for him, the mechanical failure at the last round there in Ohio was it was a real heartbreaker. But he's going to try to get up there today, fight back, and try to get some points back for sure. But man, defending champion Alex Thiemann, I mean, he just makes it look so easy. He's so smooth. He gets out there, carries good speed, never looks like he's really hustling, never looks like he's under pressure, just able to keep it moving and click off those podiums.
Well, and when we talk to him on the podium, that seems to be what the strategy is. Obviously, he's tired of getting bad starts. He kind of laughs at it now because he has gotten those bad starts and worked up to wins and podiums so frequently, he knows he can. And so there is a certain quiet confidence that comes along with that. But he's like, at that last race, he says, I'm tired of this. I want to be up front and see what I can do, whether I can start battling with the XC1 boys if I can just start a little further up front. So I think a whole shot really going to turn things around, and clearly he's showing what he's capable of doing with it.
And Alex does have I'm sure has some good memories from here. This was actually his first XC, would have been the Ironman version of Indiana, right. But his first ever race in XC2, he won. Wow. He came in, he had wrapped up his A-Class championship in 2023, comes into Ironman and wins the XC2 class. And everybody, that was kind of his serving notice of, hey, I'm here. Obviously backs it up with the 2024 championship. And, right now, sitting in that points lead, he is in command of potentially backing up another XC2 championship. And a younger rider, newer to racing, has not, wasn't like a big GNCC youth guy. He kind of just burst onto the scene the last couple years, and he's really been doing a great job of it.
Certainly become a master of the craft here in that XC2 class. Is continuing to watch our riders dip down the hill here at the 2-mile mark.
I believe our XC2 class, at least most of them, have made their way through this camera shot.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of our A riders and some of our age class riders working their way through. We've got some vet riders coming through, even some senior riders, and most of our college classes have already come through. And actually, here we go on screen. There is Bryson Neal.
So he has gotten around.
Yeah.
There was Jay Shadron in the number 2 spot. Was that Fowler still holding on at 3rd?
It was hard to tell. Yeah, I think it was, because there's McGill. So look at that. Bryson Neal got around not only... there's Brandon Owens there. So Josh Merritt got around Brandon Owens and has pulled away from Wyatt Wilkin. So a big shakeup at the front. B. Neal all the way to the front from the number 3 spot. He's gotten around Fowler. He's gotten around early race leader Jay Shadron. And Shadron's still sitting in the number 2 spot. Walker Fowler in 3rd. So the tables have turned. And right now it is the Bidwell Bullet looking to get away. There is Hunter Hart. He has made his way around Stephen Harrell. There is Harrell. And it looks like John Glauda Jr. still on the charge after a bad start trying to catch up. Mikey Wayne's in the booth now with us. Local guy, just up the street. Hey. How's it feel to have a GNCC in your backyard? And what are you seeing about the racing so far today?
Could not love it more. I get to sleep in my own bed. Not to shoot my own horn, but beep, beep. So that makes me happy. But I think more than anything, guys, I'm just stoked that the weather is beautiful outside. Now, I lost part of my fence to a tree last night, but that was rough. The point. Bottom line is, this is not a mutter, and that was kind of my first observation on the starts, and then watching it here on Racer TV is, holy smokes, it's been a while since we've been able to see these guys just go full speed through the woods. They're not having to battle elements, and talking to everybody down on Pro Road, they were stoked about it today.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating when you have, what are some really good racetracks that we've had so far in 2025, and sometimes Mother Nature just doesn't cooperate. But today, I mean, you couldn't ask for, a little chilly, maybe. It is, yeah. Very windy, but yesterday was a Chamber of Commerce day here at Ironman Raceway for the Hoosier. I think it was 85 degrees yesterday. Yeah. The sun was shining.
Yeah, cool, 80.
And then the winds came.
Holy smokes. Yes, they did.
They did indeed. Hey, you're not the only one that's in your backyard. Johnny lives out of his camper, so he got to go home.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Got to go home as well.
Johnny's home is wherever the camper's parked.
Oh, that's true. Actually, I had to spend a couple nights in a hotel this week. Had to head I came here Tuesday, dropped the rig off, and then actually had to head down there. It's 2nd and 3rd. So look at that. Braxton Gross has now gotten around Kenny Schick, but Kenny is latched on, and there is Logan Steele. There is James Glauda, and there is Jeremiah Wolf. So there is 4, 5, and 6 in that XC2 class, all wheel to wheel. Oh my!
Well, we may not have drone coverage.
Oh, we got a couple. Don't worry.
We have a backup drone. Okay.
Oh yeah.
For you guys obviously can't see what's happening, but the winds have
very high winds.
Curveball in our drone program here, and we're seeing the remnants of what was once a Racer TV drone.
Yeah, all jokes aside, it is very, very windy here this weekend, so everybody on site be prepared, as we expect it to pick up as the evening rolls in. But hey, how we have a minute here, guys. I want to give a shout-out to our College A class. Cole Likens has took the win at all 6 rounds so far this season.
It is currently sitting in 20th spot overall.
How about that? So it is Noah Likens. That is the younger brother. On screen is your leader, Bryson Neal, making his way through the river now.
There we go. So it is... Oh, look at that different line for Jay Shadron there. And there is Fowler taking the middle line.
So getting told there's 3 exits that these riders are choosing.
Did you catch the head shake there from Fowler? He looked, there was one of the crew members there, and it looked like an exchange, and he kind of shook his head in frustration. So obviously whatever happened in the last section of racetrack, Mark Fowler not super pumped on it. Probably wishing he would have been able to make the pass instead of getting passed. And there is home, no goggles. We don't need those.
You know what? Nope.
Austin Abney. And there is Hunter Hart trying to get to Abney to pick up another spot, which would put him up to, it looks like he has now gotten around Ronnie Rush as well. So Hunter, last we saw him was in 11th, then it was 10th. Now he's up to 9th place. Hunter Hart on the move, making a couple passes. It's taken a full lap, but he's finally been able to make a couple positions and working his way a little more towards the front of the pack where, he wants to be, especially coming fresh off a big win just 2 weeks ago in Ohio.
Yeah, spoke with Hunter briefly yesterday evening, and like true Hunter Hart fashion, is asked him how he's doing after the win. He's like, that's in the past. He's just fully focused, full steam ahead, and yeah, you got to think not the start he wanted here today in the Dust Bowl. He's got his back up against the wall now, going to have to crawl through the pack.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's interesting to see how different riders and different personalities kind of process success and failure. Some people will dwell on the failures, but, absolutely just move right past the successes. And this isn't a editorial as to Hunter. It's just an in general kind of thing. Look at that. Alex Tiemann getting around, it looks like getting around Chris Borch. I think Chris kind of letting him have the pass there. Tiemann has obviously caught him from a minute behind where they started. But everybody has a different school of thought on that as far as, if you live too much in your successes, you're not hungry,
sure.
And then there's some people that say, well, you have to kind of really revel when you do have some success because if you don't, all the work that goes into it, all the sacrifice, at some point you start asking yourself, is it worth it? What am I doing this for? So it's always interesting. I mean, Hunter's won several of these.
Yep.
Obviously has been a standout performer, multi-time youth and amateur champion. I don't know. It's always a bit of a just an interesting proposition for me to see how different people handle successes and failures.
Very much. I will say, piggybacking off of that, as I knock on the door of 40 years old, every win I get in life, I'm soaking up right now. They get fewer and further between, and that's just not just athletically, but in life in general.
In 6 rounds so far, Hunter Hart, the only other rider between Neal and Fowler that's got a win here in this 2025 season.
Yeah, and Walker Fowler only with 1 as well.
Yeah.
It's just been the Bryson Neal kind of show, I guess you would say. He's been so good here in 2025. And I think Bryson's one, we're talking, there is Hunter on screen right there, looking like he still hasn't gotten around Austin Abney. Bryson really, I believe, the last couple of years has matured, not only as a rider, obviously, very, very soon to be father, any day now, I believe, at this point. But even in hearing how he talks about racing, like he seems to really be enjoying himself, and that's a really dangerous proposition for his competition because it's almost at this point, it's not, he doesn't feel like he has anything to prove. He doesn't feel like he needs to win. He just wants to, and that's when it becomes scary.
Yeah, and to your point, like he's got a big enough gap. I heard you guys touching on that earlier. I won't replicate that. By the way, great job on the math, Jackson. Holy crap. But he has a comfortable enough lead that you're right, Johnny. He's not necessarily playing with house money, but like he can afford to make a mistake. He can even afford a DNF, and he's still in the championship hunt at this point. So you talk about confidence. He has all of the chips on his side right now.
Well, that's something we've talked about all season long is the fact that he does have a baby on the way, and he would possibly need to miss one of these races or choose to miss one of these races, and now he's put himself in a great spot to do just that if he wants to.
Okay, there is Tiemann. He has gotten around Chris Borch, who is still hanging on, taking a tow there, trying to pull him back up to Jared McClure in front of him as they run there in the... I don't even see. Borch isn't even on. Am I missing Chris Borch on live?
Possibly not picking up.
Okay, there you go.
Right.
I think he was back there in the number 13 spot. And there is Neal here through at the 9-mile marker at our FMF PowerPoint, trying to open up a gap. And it is still the number 18 of Jay Shadron there in the number 2 spot. And now he's got a bit of a gap over Walker Fowler.
Yeah, Jay Shad trying to run away and hide.
Oh, look at this. Fowler has lost a position.
Yep.
Looks like Josh Merritt possibly now up to the number 3. Nope, there's Merritt, so it would be Adam McGill then.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think it was McGill.
Man, big shakeup in that section. Because the last time we had seen them, Merritt had gotten around Brandon Owens And now Owens back up and right pushing for that podium battle. He's right behind Walker Fowler. Now here comes Hunter Hart ready to join the party. Rumor has it, he said, there's a podium battle going on just up the trail ahead of me, and he is in a hurry to get there. He has gotten around Abney now. So that'll move him up to the number 8 spot.
Yeah, clicks off another one. And that just shows, we talked about how hard it would be to pass, and he's proven it now.
Yeah,
pedal
like
fast, buddy.
Depends on it.
Bryson Neal is on the way. You need to go.
That was a bold move. They got across the creek.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep in mind, like, when you're down there, you can hear the ATVs and bikes coming a long ways away, and if there's nothing coming, you know you're good. So, I'm sure they're safe.
Well, one thing for sure, the Bidwell bullet is firing off here in this one. Expect him to be shooting like a rocket over this bridge any second now.
I made a deal. Johnny was there. He witnessed it, the handshake between myself and Josh Merritt, and I made the same deal with Kenny Schick. Kenny Schick's got me a little worried. I might lose my Hoosier jacket if he gets a XC2 win here.
Yeah, if they win, they get the Hoosier jacket.
And if they both win, I said they just have to fight.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the fight.
Down the middle.
That would be a quick fight, Josh. Kenny, they're both two of my best friends, but Josh would absolutely pummel Kenny. Kenny's pretty sure Kenny's 98 pounds soaking wet with his riding gear on.
There goes Thiemann and Borich again.
There you go. Bryson Neal out front. Yep, there was Thiemann and Borich. Borich still, and that's, if you're Chris, obviously probably not the ride he's wanting to have, but, those XC2 guys catch you. Sometimes they got a good pace. If you can latch on, you can kind of salvage something out of the day. There is Shadron, and we will see if it is, in fact, Adam McGill now, who has worked his way up to the number 3 spot, and it is the Gator in a podium position. And just behind him it is Fowler and then Brandon Owens. Here comes Josh Merritt and dun-dun-dun,
Wyatt.
And Owens in striking position now against Fowler. We'll see if he's able to pull something off here.
Yeah, got to wonder what transpired through that section of racetrack. A lot of passes made, a lot of shakeups. Hunter Hart still trying to close the gap, at least to get into that battle so he can see a podium position in front of him.
Abney now making his way by on that blue and orange machine. A new look there for Abney.
Always with the different color schemes. He keeps it interesting. There is Harrell with pretty heavy pressure from behind from John Glauda. And then, Roddy Rush really took a chunk out of that berm. Came in hot.
What a fantastic. Oh, Levi Cohen.
Mr. Outlier Performance himself. He's out there running the track.
Yes. And sitting, 12th place in the overall right now.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
So there was Fowler and Owens, the leaders ahead of them. Merritt just behind them. And then it is Wyatt Wilkin. So these guys kind of seemingly, at this point, they're different sections of racetrack providing different opportunities to, make passes, to get close. But it's very hard out there to really make passes stick in these conditions.
Are you as surprised as close as the racing is so far with the dust? I kind of was expecting maybe some more separation between these guys.
No, actually, we had just kind of talked about that.
Stay on them
just before you came on. I really think we're going to see a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing action today. When I say wheel-to-wheel, it's like you said, you can't maybe be glued to somebody, but there's almost like a track like this, there's almost a speed limit in a way, and it kind of prevents those big gaps from opening up. I think the reason the track has good flow to it, it's got a lot of different elements to it, so it's going to kind of provide, even if someone does get away in the next section, especially once we start getting into lapped riders, I think it's just going to keep bunching the riders back together the way the track's laid out, and the dust actually is a factor in that as well. So I hesitate to say this because Bryson Neal will surely prove me wrong, but I don't think anybody's really just going to run away with this one today. I think it's going to stay close.
I like it. Music to the ears for sure on that one. So,
and if we could just throw that out in the universe,
right.
We like good racing. You don't want to talk about now the gap is 4.5 minutes. But right now, so far, it's been good. But somebody's going to have to pick the pace up, whether it be Jay Shadron, Adam McGill, Walker Fowler, because right now Bryson Neal, even though it's only I would say probably 10, 12 seconds there at the most, it's opening up. XC2 leader on screen. And now we go ahead to the finish line, and here comes Jay Shadron in the number 2 spot. Bryson Neal already checked in, and the gap is 21 seconds. Then it is Adam McGill, another 5.7 seconds behind, and then Walker Fowler 3 seconds behind McGill. Riders continuing to check in now.
So how about it for Adam McGill there, Mikey? I mentioned earlier how he had said he wanted a top 5 when he was talking to you. Looks like he might be on his way to a podium if he can hang on.
And Adam's always good here. You heard me joking with him about, I don't know what you would call us. We're not hillbillies. Well, all the hills are here on the Ironman property in the state of Indiana. But, yeah, it's just he's loved here. He runs a lot of the IXCR races out here in Indiana, and it's kind of a home away from home, and he always just seems to do well. He's got to keep it up for 2 hours, though. I was trying to get him to race that 250R. That thing was pretty daggone sweet.
Wicked. Bryson Neal is through the pits here. Now we wait on our second place at Jay Shadron. Yeah, I saw Adam on his way to the starting line there. Told him, let's go. He let me know that he was number 1 and headed on.
I believe this.
That was a little bit of flair there, it looked like, from Jay Shadron. It looked like he was having a little bit of fun, kind of motion into the pit crew there. That was pretty cool. There is McGill there in the number 3 spot. And popping ahead back to Jay Shadron out in the number 2 spot. Bryce Neal just ahead of him, leading the way.
Here we go, making our way back to the pit.
Yeah, there's Merritt, there's Wilkin. So that is your 6th and 7th place riders on track. Man, look at that dust.
Still glued together for the number 4 and the number 3 as he passes by then.
This one could go for a minute. Like, we've had a lot of 4-lap races. I feel like this is in that ballpark of 6-ish, maybe.
There's Shadron McGill making his way through.
Kind of cool. I don't ever remember him, Johnny, at least not in recent years, running maybe this much of the moto track is what they're running today. Jumping in right there in like turn number 1 and going through that split lane.
Yeah, they're definitely the way that the course is laid out, it traverses across that valley a few times, and they definitely stay away from the jumps, but they're using a lot of the corners, and it's got a good flow to it, and also provides some additional passing opportunities for sure.
Hey, one of the most prestigious motocross tracks, why not put it to good use here with some GNCC racing?
I mean, AMSOIL shows up this fall. I would certainly be bragging that I ran on the track earlier this year.
Absolutely.
No doubt. And then a few weeks after that, we'll be back here.
And I say, Jared Bolton and Ryan Eccles, send them up the skyscraper.
Send them.
If Joel Hetrick can do it, by God, these guys can do it. That was something. Jackson and I got to call the ATVMX last weekend, and it's cool. It's one thing. I talked about Axel Hodges going, doing stoppies down the face of the skyscraper. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, but there's something, Johnny, and I'm not just saying this because you're in here, but there's something about watching the sport quads hit that is just like, it's insanity. Absolute insanity.
Yeah. Oh, those guys are very talented. It's I am not a great dirt bike rider by any stretch of the imagination, but the amount of extra, I don't know what the word is for it. It's not talent, but skill that you have to develop to be able to jump an ATV compared to a bike is so next level, because there's so many more things to control. Yeah. It's just larger. You can't manipulate it as easily with the gas and the brake. Like, you just, you have to be able to read the faces of the jumps that much better to do it safely. And very talented those guys are, and it's fun to watch for sure. Talking about jumping, Bryson Neal says, hey, the motocross track isn't the only place we can get some air. Let's do it in the woods, too. Continuing to open that gap up. 21 seconds is what it was at the finish line. And now as we jump ahead about 2 miles, looks like it has opened up even more. He is starting to set sail out front. Bad news for the rest of the competition, but good news if you're a Bidwell Bullet fan, because right now he is setting a pace that no one else quite able to match.
A good day to be a Shadron or a McGill fan as well, as McGill looks like he might be on his way to trying to make a pass here on Jay Shadron.
Look at this. Walker Fowler has lost another spot. Brandon Owens has gotten around him. I think that head shake earlier, there was a little something to that. Something amiss either with Walker Fowler or his machine. Definitely not running at full speed right now and dropping positions significantly from a lap ago, sitting in the number 2 spot, now all the way back to sitting in that number 5 spot.
So maybe something concerned with Walker Fowler. We saw the carbon copy of those battles we saw in 2024 there between Merritt and Wilkin. Those guys just right in tow with each other. All right, well, as we watch things continue to unfold here at the Hoosier GNCC, hey, we're over the hump. We are over the halfway point of the 2025 season, and a lot at stake for these guys. Maybe the season's going well for you. You want to keep the momentum going. That's certainly the case for the Bidwell Bullet. Maybe it's not gone as well as you want. Today, you can set it right for the last half of your season. How's this one going to play out? Bryce and Neil looking for another win. Or will they answer back? We'll be right back right after this.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Well, hey, Thursday night, well, we had ourselves a little luau. There's DJ Judd. That's Judd Poindexter. There's Mike. That is, I mean, he wasn't the man of the hour because it was, you know, happy birthday, Cam. That's what I'm getting at. But nonetheless, Mike is the man. The hog roast. That was all Mike. And look at Scott Lowe, man. This is Scott Lowe right here. He is... he's the meanest SOB this side of the Mississippi. He used to be my bus driver when I was in elementary school. I was scared as hell of him. I still am as an adult. Yeah, very, very cool experience. And Scott was nice enough. Our ATV kind of took a dump on us this weekend for Racer TV, so he loaned us his bike. And I said, is this Sam Shaver's bike or yours, Scott? And he goes, it's mine. I go, then I will take care of it. I said, because I'm terrified of you. So,
Mike, you're near 40 years old and you're still scared of your bus driver?
Yes, 100%.
Leader on screen, Bryson Neal.
Bryson Neal's not scared, though.
I don't think he's... I think
anything.
The trees are afraid of him.
Yeah, no, yeah, they cower. They sway back and forth. It's not the wind, it's Bryson Neal coming through the woods. They're scared.
Leading the way, we'll see what the gap is. Should be waiting for Jay Shadron on the number 18 machine on that Action Off-Road back machine. Running in the number 2 spot, leading lap number 1. Oh, look at this. Wow. Adam McGill now has gotten around. The Gator putting in a push. Then it was Shadron. Then it's Brandon Owens in that number 5 spot. Oh. Did it?
Was that
miss?
Merritt?
Did we miss foul?
Logan?
Fowler has dropped 2 more spots.
Maybe you thinking mechanicals at this point, perhaps?
Hard to say. You know, it could be something as simple as tapestries, you know, spraying a wrist slightly. Could be an issue with him, could be an issue with the machine, but he has now dropped 2 more positions in a very short amount of time. In danger now of falling to the very tail end of the top 10.
Not good news for Walker Fowler. We will have pits, I'm assuming, coming up next lap. Oh, by the way, while you guys were away, 5-lap race is what we were being told. So 5-lap race when it's all said and done. I guess that would be a little more accurate. 6 would run them long.
There's Austin Abney, Indiana boy. Adam McGill is nearly a hometown guy, but Austin Abney actually is.
So taking a look at last lap times, a 22:57 for B. Neal. He's the only sub-23 minute. Just not by much, but enough. And McGill, that kind of explains it right there, Johnny, that heater he's putting on that's put him out into that number 2 spot now in front of Shadron.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Owens as well had a good heater there.
Yes.
With a 23-22. Josh Merritt. So there was a lot of riders putting in some good fast laps there on lap number 2, trying to make up positions, trying to make up ground to the riders in front of them. Again, the sense of urgency early in this race really has been try to make passes, try to get out front, because visibility is at a minimum when you get into the dust.
Man, I know you talked to him a little earlier, Mikey, but McGill sounded very confident on the interview there in that AMSOIL pre-race report. Seems like he's kind of got some things figured out and changed his program up a little bit, and seems to be working for him. Yeah,
he touched on that a little bit. He didn't go too in depth and just kind of the mannerisms. I was scared to ask too much more, but he's like, you know, I had my last drink of whiskey, I think this last Wednesday, but he's like, outside of that, I'm not really drink any at all. He's like, I'm trying some new stuff out, so I'm sure there is more to it than that. I know he was battling with Lyme disease, you know, what, a year ago, or starting a year ago or better, and that's definitely affected the way he's had to kind of approach things. So, interesting.
Well,
and you can't teach an old dog nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like, speaking of, he's got the dogs, he's got the wife here. Like, there's a level of comfort on the property as well for McGill, and looking mighty comfortable in that number 2 spot now as well.
All right, leader on screen. Oh, look at that coming in, almost tagging that big tree, but it's fine. It was scared of him. It would have gladly moved out of his way.
It would have rolled out of the way.
Bryson Neal leading the way through the creek. We do think it will still be Adam McGill in the number 2 spot coming here in about another 20 seconds or so. 21 seconds was the gap that Bryson Neal had over Jay Shadron at the finish line just about 6 miles ago. And man, it's starting to look like it is just opening up more and more with each passing mile of racetrack, fellas.
This one's on you, Johnny. You're the one that said we wouldn't have a big gap. Well, Bryson Neal's listening to the broadcast.
There we go. There's McGill. There is, oh, look at this, different lines. Brandon Owens taking that line, really trying to take a run at Jay Shadron there. And then it's Wyatt Wilkin has now gotten around Josh Merritt. Oh, there is Fowler. So he actually did not lose a spot to Merritt, or if he did, he got him back. So he's still in the fight, but with each passing mile, just losing position. Something going on with the number 2 of Walker Fowler. And here comes Hunter Hart. He is getting closer to that battle in front of him. He's making up a little bit of ground. Bad start for Hunter Hart. Outside the top 10, clawing his way through the first lap and a half, not able to make any passes, but now he's made several of them all the way up to that number 8 spot.
Pretty interesting. No one else has taken that line that Bryson Neal took through the crossing.
Do they know he's taking it? That's a question.
Well, I was about to say, because you got to wonder whether or not that was why he checked up just a little bit, because even Stephen Harrell right here going not quite as far to the left.
Yeah, there's the way it splits that little island right there. The line to the right on the opposite side of the Racer TV banner is a more direct shot, but then when it comes out at the exit over where you see John Glauda going in now, there's a little chicane where this line to the left is a straight shot out. So the one is faster on the way in and slower on the way out, and the other is the opposite. Bryson Neal, look at the wind. I mean, just absolutely whipping the trees around and everything. It is windy out there today, folks. Again, little public service announcement. If you're here at the track, make sure your tents are tied down. Make sure any loose items you have that may cause damage from flying around are secured. It's been a very windy weekend here at the Hoosier. But Bryson Neal spends a lot of time out on the track, selecting his lines, really kind of, look at this, we got a rider halfway blocking the track, and Bryson Neal doesn't even lift, just threads the needle right through there on his way, just continuing to stretch out the gap over the riders behind him.
Yeah, Bryson Neal, just absolutely ridiculous. Just a monster. Trying to make his way to the Mason-Dixon here in a couple weeks already.
The way things are going right now, he might win Mason-Dixon before this one's over.
My goodness. Cole Richardson, hope you're watching and listening. That's your spot you claim. Come out and race with us.
All right, there's McGill in the number 2 spot. There's Shadron in 3rd. And Brandon Owens in 4th. Man, really starting to put some pressure on Shadron, wanting a piece of the podium. A rider we've seen at the Old Gray, had a great charge, had a great race. And now, has Walker Collar got back around Wyatt Wilkin, or did we miss Wilkin? No, I think we missed Wilkin.
Maybe because there was merit.
Yep.
But yeah, Johnny, you're right. Honestly, between Shadron and Brandon Owens, both of those guys, man, a podium would just do wonders for them.
Yeah, it's such a confidence booster when you're able to get up there, stand on the box, thank your sponsors, and know that, you know, you're one of the baddest dudes on the track that day. And in the case of GNCC, we do this just about every 2 weeks. It just gives you so much confidence leading into the next race, you know, whether that's 2-3 weeks down the road. It makes the preparation during the week go better. You know, it makes you sleep better. It makes your food taste better. It's podiums are where it's at for somebody that isn't getting them regularly. You know, if you're Walker Fowler, if you're Bryson Neal, if you're a guy like that, like, you want wins.
Yeah.
Podiums really aren't even that cool anymore. But for somebody who's not getting them regularly, it is such a big achievement.
That's it. You know, and what's interesting, the opposite side of that is once you've had that taste of it and you've had it several times and it's not happening, it does the opposite. Like, just talking with Wyatt Wilkin, this isn't a jab at you, Wyatt, I promise, but you can tell he's kind of, I don't know if reeling is the right word, but there's a sense in Wyatt Wilkin right now of like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I feel like I'm doing the same stuff I was doing in 2024. The success just hasn't followed that routine and what I was doing in 2024. And you almost sympathize for him. Like, you know, I know that dog is in there. It's, you got to do the soul searching yourself and figure it out.
Yeah, and we've seen that before with so many riders. I mean, this year, even last year with Hunter Hart, like a rider that you know was a perennial race winner, you know, always on the podium, battling for wins, battling for the championship, you know, number 2 guy, number 3 guy, and then it's like the last 2 years, it's been a struggle, and then here as of late, at least 2 weeks ago, you know, figured it out, back on top, back on the box, and today, really putting in a charge. You know, he's still only up to the 8th place spot, but he has 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, really, honestly, right in front of him there. And Adam McGill not too far ahead of Shadron, just a few seconds. I mean, with the exception of B. Neal, I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that if Hunter Hart can keep making passes, he could ride himself up into a podium position here today.
Tight racing over the halfway mark. 5-lap race is what we're looking at when the checkered flag flies. So the next time these guys check in, that was a mouthful. Hooked on phonics work for me. We'll get a 2-lap card.
You know, interesting. Chris Borich latched onto the back of Alex Tiemann. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It has drawn him up to at least 2 riders in front of him, which appear to be Jared McClure and Ronnie Rush, right there in front of Chris Borich now, where before he was kind of alone by himself there, basically at the back. And now he's got himself back up into a fight for just outside the top 10. So it's definitely paid off for him to let Alex Tiemann around and, you know, latch onto him, chase him. It's kind of like that virtual pace car.
Yes.
But Tiemann now in a battle, you know, with those guys, but trying to do everything he can to try to open up a gap over the next rider behind him. Braxton Gross was 1 minute and 12 seconds back in that number 2 spot when they checked in just a lap ago, and it's looking like that gap may still continuing to grow, because I don't believe we've seen Gross come through this camera shot yet. Big gap for your leader, Alex Tiemann.
Yeah, on another planet.
Zach, you mentioned it earlier. What's he going to do if he gets a good start? We're seeing it right now.
And that's something that we talked about on the podium because Braxton Gross has been able to do that when he gets those good starts, is get into the mix with those lead riders. And I think Tiemann, almost a little bit of FOMO. Like, I think these riders, that we see a lot of that, gauging what their skills are at, where they're at as far as the top level in the sport, both on bike and ATV sides. Tiemann hasn't quite been able to do that. He knows he can work his way through some of these A classes. He's like, I already did that. I graduated that class. He wants to battle with some of those XC1 fields. So I think this is definitely a ride where maybe Alex Tiemann going to be pushed in different ways, riders not in his class.
I like it.
Guys, that right there was a battle for second, third, fourth, and fifth in that XC2 class. So as they came by right there, and those guys all close together, James Glauda in the mix, Logan Steele, Jeremiah Wolf, Kenny Schick, and Braxton Gross all battling wheel to wheel to wheel. Again, Alex Tiemann out front, over a minute gone, but second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and it looks like even seventh, all pretty much wheel to wheel on that last camera shot. So if you're out on the course, check out that XC2 battle. These guys are absolutely throwing down, looking at the gaps at the finish line. 1 second, 3 seconds, 1 second, 3 seconds, and they are just absolutely all over each other, pushing an incredible pace in that XC2 class, trying to settle the battle for who's going to stand on the podium at the end of this one.
Man, that was just an absolute freight train, too. It's one thing to be, everybody's got their own challenges they're dealing with. I can't imagine being the rider in the lead of that, the rider in the back trying to find a way to round all four of them, and then you got guys stuck right in the middle of it. I mean, it's a whole lot of different dynamics going on at once, and like you talked about, kind of limited passing opportunities as well. They're either off in the dust or in some of these tighter sections, so they may be stuck like that for quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's the challenge when you're, you mentioned the guys in the front, the guys in the back. You also mentioned the guys in the middle. That's the worst place to be. Yeah. Like, you'd almost rather be at the back, when I say at the back, like of a train like that, because you kind of got nothing to lose. You can take some lines that maybe they work, maybe they don't, but if you've got the speed to be able to catch back up, if you lose 4 or 5 bike lengths or even 4 or 5 seconds, it's not the end of the world. When you're the lead rider, you have to hit your marks. If you miss one line, you're going to get passed. If you miss a shift, you're going to get passed. If you get just even a little off balance on an off camber and you're up on 2 wheels, you're going to get passed. No mistakes. You're so much pressure on you. But yeah, when you're in the middle, you're scared to try to make passes because you're afraid that, not scared, but your fear is one miscue, the riders behind you get in front of you, and it becomes this balancing act of you want to move forward, but you also have to protect the position you're in. I always hated being in the middle of a battle like that.
Yeah, you're playing offense and defense at the same time, and we've even seen riders almost lose a couple of positions and then be able to regroup, change some lines up, and charge back through a group as well. So we'll see how that shapes up as that mid-pack there through XC1 continues to stay bumper to bumper. Caught a glimpse of a couple of our riders getting ready to approach that 9-mile mark, I believe, there at the bridge. So we'll wait and see. And, I mean, Jackson, we were talking about this earlier, wishing that we had camera shots out in these youth and micro races so we could kind of see how things were shaping up. But I'm going to be honest, there's a little bit more moisture than I expected to be in the track compared to what we saw at the finish line.
Yeah, a lot more moisture than I was expecting myself. I got to talk to Mike earlier, and he was saying, one of our sweep riders, that he thought that might be the case here today. I'm very surprised to see that is the case, that moisture's coming out of the ground, but you couldn't ask for much better.
Seeing a lot of those rocks go flying out of the ground, as well as there is Alex Tiemann still just in front of Chris Borich.
Yeah, big huckbuck from Tiemann there. He got a big kick. And then it is the 714 of Ronnie Rush. So Borich has now gotten a round Rush. And again, that toe from Tiemann really helping him out in those overall positions, able to find himself a flow, pick up some speed, and start to pick off some XC1 riders one by one.
You often talk about, kind of letting a rider around and pacing off of him, having him almost tow you towards the front. When you're doing that, is it still something where you're looking at different lines than him, or is it almost like a mindless, this guy's got a bit more pace than me, I'm going to try to follow him and pick up on what he's doing? How does that work as far as taking that tow?
I think it depends on your familiarity with the rider and their style. Here we see leader on screen in the pits getting himself some fresh goggles, filling them up with fuel. And he's having a little, he wanted his water bottle there. He said, hey, I need that. I'm thirsty. It's a warm day. He's adjusting the goggle strap, looking smooth, calculated, and He has now checked in with 3 laps complete, 47 seconds. So gained an additional 26 seconds on lap number 3 over Adam McGill. But look at this, only 4 seconds back to Jay Shadron and 0.049 seconds back to Brandon Owens. Brandon Owens on the charge and all over the back of Jay Shadron right now. And you got to believe the pace that Brandon Owens has, if he's able to get around Shadron, he may be able to go after Adam McGill and maybe even start to distance himself from those guys and set all alone in that number 2 spot. I don't know if he's got the pace to go after Bryson Neal right now, but maybe we'll find out.
Here we go, the Gator Adam McGill making his pit as we pop back here to mile 1 where we see Bryson Neal. Here's the rest of the crew now. There's Wyatt Wilkin making his way back onto the track.
Yeah, you could see he was really trying to get out of the pits ahead of Jay Shadron there. So here's McGill. There's your number 2 spot. There is Shadron and Wilkin. You know what?
So Wilkin?
Brandon Owens may have passed all of those guys in the pits.
I think he did. I think he did. I believe I saw one rider going by with a lot of speed. There's the 4 of Merritt making his way through this mile 1 marker.
And there's Hunter Hart. So now he has almost gotten to the rear wheels of Merritt. He can see him there ahead of him. So there's McGill.
Have to see OPAG maybe could see if we missed a rider between.
So there's Shadron. There's Wilkin. Nope, there's Brandon Owens.
Okay.
So, yep, we just didn't see him in that last camera shot. He actually lost positions then. And there is Fowler. So still continuing. We didn't get to see if he spent any extra time in the pits, but something definitely had stalled out his charge there and was dropping positions pretty quickly. And now here comes Hunter Hart. You see reaching up, looking like he made a goggle strap adjustment after fresh goggles coming out of the pits. Hart up to the number 8 spot and has 7th of Merritt and the 6th of Fowler right in front of him. You can see those riders.
Wyatt Wilkin picking up right where Brandon Owens left off, trying to make a way around Jay Shadron. That's going to put him into that podium spot. Wilkin getting that number 3 from being the 3rd place there in the 2024 season.
Yeah, having such a strong run last year. Looks like just saw a move on our time and scoring side. Tiemann picking off a couple of more XC1 riders as well, as watching John Glada Jr. make his way back out on course. You know, the Phoenix Yamaha rider wishing for maybe just a little bit more today after a couple of podium finishes. Hasn't quite had that forward momentum either.
Yeah, it was a rough start for Glada. I mean, he was way back, just trying to make passes, trying to make up ground, but he has definitely been struggling to do so here today. Tough conditions and continue to grind it out. Still sitting, solidly inside the top 20, but he's surely wanting more in those overall, sitting back in that number 4 spot. And back to your leader out front. Again, just making it look effortless, just hippity-hopping through there like the Easter Bunny. He looking good, bottle hanging out of his mouth. He is one of those riders that will just absolutely continue to drag that thing with him. He wants the hydration. He won't let it go. Man, I was never able to do it. I just had to drink it as quickly as I could and move on. A lot of these, and we see this on Sundays too. Craig DeLong's another one. I mean, he'll ride 2-3 laps with the bottle in his mouth, and I just don't know how you can do it.
So watching and waiting as the, what are we calling the Bidwell Bunny now? You said like the Easter
the
Bunny?
Bidwell Bullet.
Okay.
No, or Bidwell Bunny.
Bidwell Bunny hopping his way through the trees here.
Hippity hopping.
Hippity hopping.
Here we go. Adam McGill making his way through.
Well, Gators eat bunnies.
Oh,
so
look at this.
Gators trying to chase him down.
We've got a new 3rd place rider.
Yep. Wyatt Wilkin moving forward. This is the exact kind of ride that Wilkin needed.
Jay Shadron still solidly in 4th, but under pressure from Brandon Owens in the number 5 spot. Walker Fowler starting to look a little more racy here. And then it's Josh Merritt in that 7th place spot. Hunter Hart looking like he lost a little bit of ground in that last section of racetrack. He was a little closer to Josh Merritt when we saw him just a few corners ago. Checking in on that XC2 class as they check in with 3 laps complete. It is now James Glada up to the number 2 spot, has gotten his way around Kenny Schick in the number 3 spot, Braxton Gross in 4th, Jeremiah Wolf 5th, Dalton Keys 6th. Those guys are all checked in now with 3 laps complete. And 1 minute 56 seconds is Alex Tieman's lead in that XC2 class. So, Zach, you asked the question. He's answering.
Yeah, answering it with a bolded statement as we watch Austin Avenue getting ready to make his way by as well. Things are heating up as we enter the final hour of our afternoon pro ATV race. The Gator making a quick pre-crossing as he tries to chase down the Bidwell Bunny of Bryson Neal. How's it all going to shake out? You can see the fans cheering the McGill-Billy on, but the water bottle's swinging and the dirt is slinging behind the number 1 of Bryson Neal. We'll be back after a quick word from our sponsors.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 left. The main event. The mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVNC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Round 7 of the 2025 Progressive GNCC racing season. We're here at Ironman Raceway. This is the Hoosier GNCC, but this is a big year for Ironman Raceway, Jackson. We had our Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday. That right there on the table is the FIM Motocross of Nations trophy. That's a rare thing to even look at, let alone touch and hold. For those of you that maybe don't know, Ironman Raceway is going to hold the 2025 MXON right here on this property. And Jackson, not only is it so cool to see MX Sports, to see Ironman Raceway and their faculty celebrate this event, but the city and town of Crawfordsville as well have completely embraced this sport and this event.
They sure have. It's going to be a big weekend for them here in Crawfordsville, and everybody, like you said, Zach, has came in, they put their hand in, and everybody trying to make it a successful event. If you can think back to Ironman last year, we actually had some people come in and talk about the MX of Nations as well. So some very, very cool stuff coming up later this year. Make sure to come out, guys, and enjoy it for yourself. It's going to be just a few weeks before our Ironman GNCC.
Man, it is not going to be one to miss. I went to the Redbud Motocross of Nations in 2018. USA didn't quite have the best weekend, but I sure did. As look at this, we got a battle on our hands for the number 2 spot. Wyatt Wilkin, I believe, has tracked down the Gator, and it looked like he was ready to make a pass, Jackson.
And look at that. He's got plenty of company behind him, too. Wasn't quite able to catch if that was still going to be the same riders we've been dealing with all race long, or if maybe some changes going on. There goes Hunter Hart now. Man, carrying a lot of speed here through this mile 4.
Yeah, they are absolutely on the gas all the way through this section here at the 4-mile mark. And agreed, couldn't quite tell if that was Shadron and Owens or not. We know, man, Wyatt Wilkin, he has been on the charge, but to close down that gap, McGill had a couple of seconds, it seemed like, when we went to break. So possibly a mistake for Wilkin, not quite sure, but a mistake for McGill, excuse me, but nonetheless, Wyatt Wilkin is right there, and this is the ride that Wyatt's needed so far this year. He's had bad luck, and normally a very upbeat, high, smiley type guy, I should say. Wilkin been a little quieter here recently, been a little more business focused, and got to think that those results not showing up got to start to wear down at him a little bit. So Wilkin needing a nice little staple ride here in 2025 to be able to bring that confidence back up.
Yeah, breakout year for him there in 2024, just not quite able to pick up where he left off. Best finish being a 3rd place there at round number 2, but what's hurting him so bad, Zach, is those 2 DNFs. He wasn't in the top 20, didn't get any points there at round 6 or at round number 1, so that's sitting him in the 7th place position on the series.
Well, he has found something here today and has been marching forward consistently, and I got to just think, no matter what step it is on the podium, just being back on the podium, going to be a big day for Wyatt.
Yeah, no doubt. If Wyatt Wilkin, you guys are going to have a party on your hands. Yeah. If you get a Adam McGill and a Wyatt Wilkin podium, forget it. Everybody bring your coolers full of adult beverages.
Yeah, you might have been laying off the bourbon, but now that the job's done.
Might change that. Yeah. We don't have any concerts this weekend at Ironman, but there's definitely going to be a show post-race if it stays this way.
Going to be fun to watch. Maybe we talk them into making a team for the 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Dude, that'd be sick. B. Neal, I bet, is a hooper. He actually, he's about the only guy at GNCC.
You can keep B. Neal. John Glaude Jr., I'll take you all day of the week.
That's fair. You got some height there. That's true.
I think Bryson Neal can do anything.
That's probably right. Yeah, that's true. It's disgusting. He's Captain America.
Here he is. Right on time, making his way through the creek.
Yeah,
a little head nod. Superman. He says, "Don't worry, Pops. I got this." Heads back off.
Throws a quick line in, catches a minnow.
Yeah, exactly. He's catching 18-pound bass in that creek. There's never been bass caught there before, but it's Bryson Neal.
Trees avoid him, fish swims towards him. It's
just ridiculous.
The most interesting man in ATV GNCC.
Look at this gap here. 47 seconds was the gap when they made their way through the finish. It looks like possibly growing just a bit here. Going to see who it is behind him now. Catch a good glimpse through this creek crossing.
I got to give some credit to the Gator. I know it kills me to do it, but I'm impressed right now. This is some serious pace from McGill. He's been outside that top 5 and had a couple of things that just haven't quite gone his way, but man, he is really firing on all cylinders right now, as maintaining that number 2 spot for the moment. Wilkins right there, but he has not found a way around Adam McGill so far. Believe Owens was not too far back either. Couldn't quite tell if Shadron was still in the mix. There you see Merritt making his way through the creek crossing.
Hunter Hart.
Be a good challenge too for Wyatt Wilkin. Obviously Wyatt is certainly capable, but to have a crafty veteran rider like McGill in front of you, I think it's probably one thing when it's early in a race, but you get over the hump, you're approaching maybe with a white flag coming out after lap 4. McGill can almost taste the podium. He's going to be a tough man to pass at this point.
Yeah, that's going to definitely put some wind in his sails, knowing that he's up there in the fight here in this one.
Well, and I've also noticed McGill's probably going to have a sore neck from nodding at fans because they're always jumping in, cheering him on. You made the joke earlier about Austin Abney being the local, and then McGill like the adopted local almost.
He's our redheaded stepchild. Yeah. We'll take him.
He plays the role pretty well.
Yes, he does. I thought for the first time in, at least to my knowledge, I almost got a tear out of Adam McGill talking about his dog.
Wow.
I got a little choked up. I was like, dang, man. I didn't mean to touch that nerve. It's a good nerve to touch, but I don't know how that's going to sound later. Instagram site that's going to get a hold of that one.
There's Austin Abney making his way through, followed closely there by Stephen Harrell. Let's see, Alex Thiemann should be here any second now, unless possibly missing him. All right, back to the top we go. There's the number 1 machine making his way by. Now we'll catch a glimpse of McGill here in just a few seconds. See how close that battle is between McGill and Wilkin. Last time we saw them through that creek crossing, it appeared that they were bumper to bumper.
Yeah, Wilkin seems like he's not comfortable with that third place spot at the moment. He clearly wants to make the pass and try to put some distance between them, but got to believe that's because he's marched his way through a lot of these riders. He knows the next group that are trying to grab that final podium spot. As believe still waiting on our lead riders. There shouldn't be too much longer. And you'll see that neon helmet. There it is. Adam McGill still holding on to that spot and has actually put maybe a bike length or so between himself and Wilkin once again.
So there it is now, just a little bit farther back. That was Shadron.
And was that Fowler? Yeah, Fowler back around Owens and then Merritt.
Man, that has just been so tight through 3 laps, 3 1/4 laps between those guys, or more than that. We got to be getting under the 10-minute mark here before this one's wrapped up, but it's just one mistake by any one of those guys, and that's going to shuffle.
Yeah, just 5 minutes till we expect to see them at the line, and they'll be getting the white flag this time around.
Bit of separation here as we wait. As taking a look at the side of your screen, though, how about Cole Likens up in that number 14 spot, and Talent Stout back there in the 20th spot. So really cool feature we introduced a couple of rounds ago. OPAG helping us kind of sort all of our names out, showing who's in what classes. Red, obviously, your XC1, green, XC2, and then blue, our amateur riders.
That's we'll call that the Grant Davis inspired graphic.
Yeah. How about Cole Likens? So like you're saying, Zach, he's gotten around all of our XC2 riders except for your XC2 leader of Thiemann there. So Likens on the move. Yeah. There we go, back to the Bidwell Bullet up front. Bryson Neal making his way through this FMF PowerPoint. Closing in on another lap complete.
And once again, Bryson Neal, I mean, almost just like poetry in motion out there. It just seems like nothing is catching him off guard. The quad seems to be able to handle anything thrown his way.
It's just interesting on another level. Jackson and I called ATV MX last week. We had, obviously, with Joel Hedrick, is who I'm going to be talking about. Yep. His teammate, although apples to oranges, but the Phoenix Racing Yamaha ride. His first moto, he had about a 7th place start. Quickly got into a 5th place after maybe the second corner. Took him maybe 5 laps, and when he got first, post-race, Jackson asked him about the moto, and I kind of expected him to be talking about the battles. We got battles on screen right here. Adam McGill still holding off Wyatt Wilkin right now. But it was interesting, the perspective of Joel Hedrick was he didn't talk about 4th, he didn't talk about 3rd, he didn't talk about 2nd. All he said was, I know, and there goes Josh Merritt toward the tail end of that. And is that Brandon Owens behind him?
Yep.
But he said immediately, I knew I had to get through those guys because first, who is Bryce Ford, is going to get away. And we've heard Bryson Neal say similar things. It doesn't matter where he starts.
Yep.
He doesn't fixate. He's not going to talk to you about who he passed. He's going to say whoever is out front. In most cases, it's been like a Walker-Fowler situation. I knew I had to get up there quick because Walker was going to run away with it. It's just that championship mentality, and that's certainly what Bryson Neal has.
Well, and very similar to Alex Thiemann, who's repeatedly had bad starts. And, I mean, one of the last riders going into the woods in his class. And, again, he just kind of sighs almost as like,
yeah.
All right, well, let's go to work, and starts picking his way forward. And I think once you get that kind of confidence, things just, they don't quite rattle you the same.
And it's just that visualization of, like, I should be in first. I'm not there right now, and I need to get there. That's what I'm focused on. It's not necessarily just pass the guy in front of you. It's get to the front.
So watching a few of our other riders making their way as we'll wait on the number 1 of Bryson Neal, who might be there right on cue.
And it is. There he goes.
Man, super rough through that section. In and out. Back to this gap that seems to continue to open up. Just a couple of seconds every camera shot, it seems like. Not anything. Run.
You made it. Good job. Good job, kids. They left the girl behind.
Wow.
My goodness, fellas. Boy, oh boy, that's not going to look good later, fellas.
They'll learn.
Got them in trouble.
She probably wouldn't have cared if it wasn't for Mikey mentioning.
Yeah, right. She probably had no idea. Now she's like, you know what? He's got a point.
Because there they go.
Oh,
hey,
good save.
That
went for a ride.
So still waiting on our second place here. And there they are, right there.
Was that still McGill Wilkin?
It was.
Okay. No, I think that was Wilkin and then McGill, yeah. It was neon gear, then a neon helmet. So that was Wilkin first.
And Merritt seems to be inching his way up into that battle. The Eagle Eye, Johnny Gallagher, was back there, and I can tell by your gasp we didn't quite get that one right at first.
No, it's all good. Yeah, you could see that obviously White Wilkin able to make the pass. He has been the rider. Obviously. Oh, stop it. I apparently today is let's bust on Johnny Day, but no. Hey, not all of us can come up with the dirt is flying and the birds are crying.
Terrible.
I mean, geez, man, like a poet in here.
It's like the Reverend Zach Heron over here.
To race or not to race?
Yeah, that is the question. Okay, so Wyatt Wilkin has been the rider on the move this last lap and a half of racing or so. Now he's gotten his way all the way up to that number 2 spot. The question is, does he have anything to go after the Bidwell Bullet? When they came in last lap, it was a 47-second gap. We know that's grown. We can see on screen, mile by mile, Bryce Neal continuing to just add to that lead. He keeps opening up the gap more and more and more. Wyatt Wilkin, the rider back there that seems to have the most pace, will he be able to eat into that? Obviously, lap riders coming into play. This one is far from over, but right now, Bryce Neal having it well in hand. But that battle behind has been wild. We've seen Walker Fowler, we've seen Jay Shadron, we've seen Wyatt Wilkin, we've seen Brandon Owens. You know, Josh Merritt really the only rider in that group that has not yet to lead that pack. He's been up in the mix, but you know, they've just been shuffling positions pretty much every time we see them. Now there is Austin Abney sitting back there in that number 9 spot, but man, the battle for the podium is absolutely ferocious right now, and there is Stephen Harrell rounding out the top 10. Next rider that we should see on screen, well, we may see actually McClure come through before, but it looked like Tiemann had actually gotten physically to McClure and was putting pressure on him to get around when we saw them just a couple camera shots ago. So your XC2 leader should be working his way this way with a big gap. I said before we went to break, 1 minute 56 seconds was the gap that he had on the second place rider, which last lap was James Glauda. But that's another one of those battles. You know, there's like 5 riders battling for 3 podium positions in that XC2 class.
Yeah, a little surprised to not see the number 5 of Stephen Harrell up in that mix as well. He's had some really strong runs here this season, but hasn't quite been able to move forward so far here today, as he was just behind Austin Abney. White flag waving, so final lap officially underway.
Yeah, and Bryce Neal has now checked in with a 23:47 lap time. So interesting, lap time dropped off a bit for Bryce Neal that lap. I believe they did pit last lap as well.
I sure would assume.
Yeah,
I don't think
so
we got that, but yeah.
It was, you know, maybe slowed him down just a few minutes, but we saw he wasn't, or a few seconds. He wasn't in the pits very long. So, yeah, definitely interesting to see that the pace dropped. We'll see what these lap times are as they come in behind. And look at this. Wyatt Wilkin on an absolute charge. Now starting to open up the gap a little bit over Adam McGill as he checks in with now 4 laps complete and a lap time of, refresh, 23:50. So actually, Bryson Neal's still the fastest rider on the track, or at least of those 2. They're the only
double check that. Did we just see Walker Fowler coming through in the 3rd place spot?
Walker Fowler up into the 3rd place spot with a 23:53 lap time. So running both Wyatt Wilkin and Walker Fowler running very similar lap times to Bryson Neal. So they've started to balance out that gap. McGill missing a visor, may have had a crash there, or something happened to set him back a few positions. And so Jay Shadron in the number 4 spot, Josh Merritt now up to 5th, Brandon Owens 6th, Hunter Hart 7th, and Adam McGill all the way back to the number 8 spot. So something happening in just a very short section of racetrack there that has dropped Adam McGill. He was in 3rd last we saw him, to drop him from 3rd all the way back to the 8th place position and well off the podium.
Now it's going to go from a party to a riot.
We'll have that on the bigger jobs. Mark Notman standing by, well, all pit road. Standing by with some pit boards, some words of encouragement. And just like that, Walker Fowler in position for a podium here late.
There you go. We got the pit boards out, passing the information along.
And really not super far off of Wyatt Wilkins. So
Shadron's still in the mix for a podium as well, but now Josh Merritt, the rider on the charge, can see a podium position just ahead of him. But look out, because here comes HH. Hunter Hart has been fighting from the back all day long. We saw him in 11th, then he was in 10th, 9th, 8th. Now he is up to that number 6 place position. It is what it's looking like. Actually, sorry, 7th. He is still behind Brandon Owens. No, he's actually, he made the bet. Yeah, so he's up to the number 6 spot. Here you go, Wyatt Wilkin.
Flying right now.
Off in pursuit of Bryson Neal, but also knowing that he's got the big number 2 of Walker Fowler behind him.
All those close battles. Now we got some separation. Well, we did.
Josh Merritt up to 4th. He's gotten his way around Jay Shadron there. So this is starting to get interesting. There comes Hunter Hart in 6th, and then it's Brandon Owens in 7th. This has been crazy today. Guys that are up in a podium position solidly, a matter of a few miles later, are back in 8th place. They've just been shuffling each other all around all day long. So much more passing than I had anticipated on this racetrack today.
And obviously a mistake, something by McGill there, missing the visor. You kind of seen for a split second coming down pro row, that little head shake of, had a little dig or something.
I feel like we see Adam without a visor as often as we see him with a visor.
Yes. That's why he makes them neon, so they can go
it all hang out.
Yeah. This isn't a product plug or anything like that, but these, we won't even mention brand names, but these companies that use the magnetic visors, it's just silly to me. The riders, I understand they say it's a safety thing, but I've never run a magnetic visor. I've never had an issue with that. I know there's some testing and science behind it, and they're professionals at what they do, but they use the little plastic screws on the ones that screw on, and they never fall off. We don't even know if Adam had a crash or not, but the riders that run these magnetic visors, it's just crazy. They're half the races they finish without visors.
So Bryson Neal going by on your screen.
Got excited for a minute, thought we had Wyatt Wilkin coming. That would have been a little early and
pretty impressive right there, yeah.
That rider out there battling for a position in his own class. And again, we talk about these riders on screen. The other riders, these are some of the best amateur riders in the nation that travel to all these GNCC rounds to do battle against riders from all over the country, every corner of the states. We know we have riders all the way from the West Coast. We have riders from the North, the South, the East, and they all come together at GNCCs, whether you're racing the 45-plus class, if you're a youth rider out there in our morning youth races, 4x4s, women, you name it, there's a class for everybody, and they are out here doing battle on the very same race course that guys like this guy right here, Wyatt Wilkin, your number 3 overall rider from last year, sitting in the number 2 spot today, trying to chase down Bryson Neal, but he has now opened up a gap over Walker Fowler. Fowler looked like he was closing it down, but now he's definitely giving up some time, and now Josh Merritt putting pressure on Fowler, wanting to wrestle away that final podium position here on the last lap of racing.
So it's all going to come down to this. Merritt has really come to life here late in this.
There's Shadron, there's Hunter Hart, and still Brandon Owens.
This is, there's just zero room for error at this point. This is absolutely as tight as it gets.
And you can see the lapped riders in the mix. Adam McGill losing valuable seconds behind that rider there as he needs to get his way around to try to get back in pursuit of Brandon Owens to get back that number 7 spot.
Rider there looking down at the machine. Something's aloof.
Trying to get an update from the finish line live timing scoring on our XC2 class. Alex Tiemann has checked in. That is for sure your leader. Still waiting on second place to check in. Alex has been checked in for a good little bit, so doesn't look like he's in any immediate jeopardy of losing that lead position. But we'll update you on those podium and even top 5 positions in XC2 once we get our live timing and scoring update from the finish line. Well, so there was Brandon Owens. There's Adam McGill. So McGill was able to make up that time. He lost with the lapped rider. That's the yin and yang of it sometimes. One section you can lose some time. Just a few short sections of racetrack later, the tables can turn and you can be right back up in the mix. Austin Abney, home state boy, sitting back in that number 9 spot. Oh my goodness, folks. Look at this. Cole Likens has checked in 14th place overall out of that College A class, and he is ahead of the rest of our XC2 riders. Only Alex Tiemann ahead of him from that XC2 class. Braxton Gross now up to the number 2 spot. 2 minutes and 1 second behind Alex Tiemann. That is Jeremiah Wolf in the number 3 spot, and still no other XC2 riders have checked in yet. And there is, I thought that was Tiemann, but it's not.
Yeah, Likens put on dominant displays. I mean, younger brother Noah had a great run earlier today and consistently is putting himself in overall podium positions in the AM race, and then Cole has really been a standout as far as the amateurs go in the afternoon race. So more riders making their way through here at the 2 mile mark. Sweep riders.
Lane Michael jumping through there. I mean, sweep machine. Taking a look over his shoulder, making sure he's not impeding anyone's progress. Circling around the track, making sure the track is in good order and that the riders are all moving along. Any stranded riders, bike issues, injuries, anything like that, the track sweep will obviously catch those and get some help to them as quickly as possible. Chris Board's trying an outside line around that left rider there, not able to make it stick. Looked like Boards may have actually gotten around Jared McClure there. There's Tiemann. That is your XC2 leader on screen. Over a 2-minute lead right now on his nearest competitor in that XC2 class.
He talk, walk the walk. You're telling you guys all year, like, man, if I could just get a start dialed. Well, Alex, you weren't wrong, dude. That's a scary, scary thought. Mentioned this earlier, like, hey, we're over the hump, right, Johnny? I mean, a season like this, at this point in the year, Johnny, if things have gone well for you, obviously it's like, hey, this is just another day at the office. Let's get to work. When things have not gone the way you want, or you know there's something you need to work on, is this kind of the point in the season, those last few rounds before summer break, where it's like, all right, reset button. If I'm Tiemann, all I need to do is get good starts. Like, is that kind of the focus moving into that second half of, like,
yeah, I mean, I think, as you pointed out, it depends on kind of what your mindset is coming into the events and where you're at, as opposed to what your expectations for the season were at the beginning of the year. So a guy like Alex, defending champion coming in that XC2 class, wins are what he wants, what he knows he needs to win that title. The fact that at least from his perception, Braxton Gross was able to rustle a few of those wins away on the strength of some better starts. Tiemann saying he needed to be more up front. I mean, that's just breaking down the program. So I think kind of the last couple of rounds before summer break thing comes into play if you're just so far away from where you feel you need to be. We've seen riders in the past that are just saying, hey, we need to scrap everything and start over. Wyatt Wilkin, second place, has now come through here at the 4-mile marker. But I think summer break is the real reset because you actually get some time. It's so hard to make significant changes to a program when you're racing every 2 weeks, and a lot of these guys running multiple other series at home. There is Fowler, and still under heavy pressure from Josh Merritt. It's bike changes, program changes in a span of 2 weeks when you also have to re-prep. Your team around you is prepping not only your motorhome, your trailer, the machines. You have to do your physical preparation. It can be hard to make big significant changes. Summer break and the off season are the time to make those, but as you pointed out, sometimes it's just a mindset thing. It's hey, we're going about this all wrong. We need to start over. And I think Alex Tiemann's in a great position, obviously already leading the points, but maybe he had an opportunity to go practice some starts, maybe make some little changes to how he approaches that whole Ricky Towery 10-second call, and worked out for him today. Got out front early, and man, it's paid off with a big lead in that XC2 class.
Yeah, just absolutely killing it right now, looking good. Bryson Neal looking good, still out in front, well out in front in this one. And Wyatt Wilkin talking about reset button. He's had some success this year. I guess it's not been all bad for Wilkin, but admittedly, in his own words, even, man, I've got a couple DNFs. I did not envision that. And he's in a reset button mode of trying to get back to what he knows he's capable of.
Yeah, and that's, I think, when you're Wyatt Wilkin and coming off of a dream season in the number 3 spot, you worked so hard coming up through the ranks. We've talked about it before. He was never like a standout amateur, wasn't a superstar youth rider. So he humbly, quietly, and diligently worked his way up to, hey, I'm one of the guys. I've won a race. I've been consistently on the podium, and I'm number 3. Like, that puts you in the mix with some very elite company, and it would be so easy to lose that confidence. So I think it's great to see that Wyatt Wilkin able to shake off those bad rounds, able to shake off those DNFs, come back. And today, I mean, he wasn't gifted anything today. He's just been grinding and making passes and continuing to push, starting surely much further back than he would have liked, outside the top 5, and now all the way up to the number 2 position, and starting to stretch it out over Walker Fowler and Josh Barrett. They're in the number 3 and 4 spot, so he's got a pretty comfortable gap over those guys right now, and looking like he's in a good position to bring this home in that second place spot.
That's a tough day. He said, hang loose out there surfing. But yeah, no, Wyatt, you're absolutely correct. It was kind of interesting when I was talking about Wyatt earlier, and just the kind of that change in demeanor of he wasn't quite like the happy-go-lucky guy that I'd get in those pre-race interviews. As a matter of fact, he was over by himself in his trailer, wrenching on his own bike.
Yeah, that's sometimes you just need a little bit of a mindset adjustment. I don't think that Wyatt is the type to take anything for granted. I think he knows that he's still the guy. He's still got the program. Uh-oh, something going on up there. It looked like for a minute he was running up to... Yeah, there is Wyatt there in the number 2 spot. Kind of looked like that guy was running with a purpose for a minute. Thought we might have had a little drama unfolding. But Wyatt is through. And this is the gap now that you're looking at, back from our second place of Wyatt Wilkin to the battle between Walker Fowler and Josh Merritt. The last several camera shots, we've seen them wheel to wheel. And there is Fowler still in the number 3 spot, and Merritt still wanting to try to make the pass, but not ready to just blast the goggles and the gloves and the grips and send it through the water. They both came in with a sense of urgency, but checking up. And then it is Shadron and Hunter Hart still trying to work his way around Jay Shadron to wrestle away that number 5 spot.
A lot yet to be sorted out. Here, about halfway through the last lap, there goes the Gator Adam McGill. And you kind of tell by the body language here, just a little bummed, left a little on the table.
He has gotten around Brandon Owens.
Yeah, he did. B.O. just behind him.
That's what can be so hard. You're in the battle all day, and one little mistake late in the race, when you kind of lose that group that you're battling with. I mean, look at how quickly those two fell off the back of that battle for the podium. Just literally a few miles ago, they were in the mix for a podium, and now sitting back there in that number 7 and 8 spot, and upwards of a minute off of that podium battle.
And it's been one of those days too, Johnny, as you pointed out, with as tight as the racing has been, you've got to be mistake-free today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can't give up those valuable seconds, and track position so important today. I shout out to the track crew and shout out to these riders for finding some very good passing lines. Obviously, out there we've seen a lot of shakeups and mix-ups inside the top 3 and top 5, and throughout the top 20 overall. Honestly, there's been a lot of passing. There's been a lot of battles back and forth. We've seen riders give positions and take them back, and when I checked out the track, I kind of thought it was going to be more of a flow race, that we were going to see kind of basically just wheel-to-wheel battles without a lot of actual exchanges of positions, but that hasn't turned out to be the case.
No, it has not. At least not late.
Wait and we watch for Wyatt Wilkin on that number 3 Stewart Brothers Racing machine, and just like that, here he comes, 7 miles in and on his way to looking like it will be a second place finish for him here today. Still a couple more miles. Can't give these wins away, and also can't discount the fact that just behind him there is a battle that should be coming just about any moment. Walker Fowler has the final podium position. Josh Merritt applying heavy pressure and wants it, and still Fowler on the number 2 holding the position and has opened up just a couple bike lengths over Josh Merritt, but Josh Merritt full send, jumping deep into that corner, trying to make up every possible millisecond he can to get closer to the rider in front of him, Walker Fowler. And shout out to this guy, man. Jay Shadron, still not out of the question for a podium here today, but man, he has ridden well all day long, leading early in a podium position throughout much of the race, now sitting in that number 5 spot. A top 5 for him, or even if Hunter Hart gets him in a 6th, he has rode so well today.
Yes, he has. And man, we've said that a lot this year, Johnny, for Jay Shadron in that 4th spot. Go all the way back to Florida as McGill goes by right there, where Shadron fell short by, 2-3 seconds off of that podium. And that one's kind of lingered with Jay Shad. When we went to Camp Coker, that was on his mind. He said, this is a sand track. I feel like I'm going to do well here, and put it on the box. Didn't come to fruition. And it just seems like before this year's up, we see Shadron on a podium. It's going to happen because he's getting tired of finishing in that 4 position or just off the box.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big jump from where he was 100%. At. We talked about it. We told his story quite a bit. Would he even be racing? Would he be competitive? And now he's out there not only competitive, but mixing it up with the absolute best riders in the world and looking confident and smooth doing it.
Yeah, it's been remarkable to watch. It's kind of eerily similar, the kind of parallels between Shadron's experiences with injuries and Fowler, the guy that's in front of him. Crazy that either of them is back racing with us.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are true warriors. Our job here is to bring you guys the racing action and also to hype it up and make it exciting. Guys all these guys, but sometimes the story makes itself exciting without us having to do it.
Sure.
When you talk about somebody who's overcome the odds that a serious injury like that can put up against you, and to come back and fight and to battle and to be in the mix with the best in the world, it just shows the tenacity, the true warrior spirit of so many of not just these elite level top professionals, but so many riders in the GNCC Racing Nation. And battle they are, warriors. Right now, Josh Merritt trying to battle his way past Walker Fowler, but Walker Fowler knows every point is important at this point. Every position matters. Holding on very greedily to that number 3 spot. He does not want to give it up. Yeah. Now here comes Shadron in the number 5 spot, and Hunter Hart still pushing, wanting to get up in that mix, maybe thinking, hey, if I can get around Jay Shadron, the podium's just in front of me there, but so far not able to make a pass stick.
Man, Johnny, what a luxury we have, because you pick out, honestly, that top 7, those guys all very, very capable of getting those podiums here throughout this whole season. It seems like that mix-up. Normally our conversation is B. Neal and Fowler, and if you look at the scoring, you're going to say, oh, yeah, B. Neal and Walker Fowler on the podium, sure, who is that 3rd guy? But that's not been the case today. Like, Wilkin has thrown himself into the middle of that mix.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's Walker Fowler or Josh Merritt in there battling with Walker Fowler right now. I mean, so many riders this year have just been stepping up, and even today, we were pretty sure we were going to see Jay Shadron on the podium just a few miles ago, and there still is a possibility sitting back there solidly in that number 5 spot. Brandon Owens, Hunter Hart back there in the mix. It's just every time it seems like we switch camera shots, you kind of put them in a Yahtzee shaker, shake them up, and you just never know what order they're going to pop up in.
Waiting at the bridge. She's waiting there, got the phone out. That or it's a cup of coffee, I can't tell.
I think it's a phone. I think she's recording.
She wants to get the shot. Do it for the gram. Bidwell Bullet doing his thing and trying to add to that points lead for mercy's sakes for 2025 as Wyatt Wilkin buzzes past. And we wait on that battle between Fowler and Merritt. Who wants it? Walker Fowler, tough guy to pass on a normal day, let alone battling for a position.
Still has it.
Yep. Little gap, too. Uh-oh. Ooh, and a lapper in between them, at least one. Maybe a mistake by Merritt.
There is Merritt. Definitely lost some time. Something happened in that section of racetrack because he was all over Walker Fowler when we saw him just a moment ago. Now he's falling back. Jay Shadron and Hunter Hart not too far behind him. Not a lot of racetrack left, but Merritt definitely doesn't want to dilly-dally around, or he's in danger of losing that number 4 spot. There you go. Wyatt Wilkin a little further ahead now, about the 9.5. The Bidwell Bullet already through here. The Bidwell Bunny.
Yeah, got a new name for you, dude. I like that.
Bryson Neal getting closer to a finish line. Will be a checkered flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery, and Bryson Neal looking to notch another win here. There is Walker Fowler in the number 3 spot. Will be win number 6?
5. Okay. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. Yeah. Yes, 5.
Okay.
5 minus 2, yeah. Or 7 minus 2, rather. Yeah, that's 5, last time I checked. I'm not as good at math as Jackson Burrell, apparently.
Oh, yeah, this is round 7. I was thinking it was round 8. No, nope. You are correct.
There he is, the man who has been sensational all season long, the Bidwell Bullet, the Bidwell Bunny. Maybe a little bunny hop. All right. Puts it up on wheelies through the finish line, and the Bidwell Bullet grabs another win and furthers his already enormous points lead after 7 rounds of racing. And now the big question, if you're Bryson Neal with the baby on the way, will he take a race off?
Well, if you do some quick math, 30 points for him here today. He's got that secured. If Walker Fowler is able to hold on to that 3rd place spot, it would be a 9-point gain for Bryson Neal. Currently with a 44-point lead, would tally that up to 53 points. Now we're approaching 2-race territory.
So he's certainly got the breathing room. My guess would be if, unless that baby's born on race day, I feel like we see Bryson Neal race, would be my guess. Wyatt Wilkin, boy, Johnny, hell of a ride by him today. He is going to hang on for the 2 spot. We say it a lot. Hey, a rider really needs a good day, a good podium, but maybe Wyatt Wilkin more than anybody right now needed a vote of confidence. It kind of almost crushed me looking at the number 3 being announced as, I think, 7th in points coming into today, but not like the Wyatt we saw in 2024, at least to this point, but today looking like the Wyatt of last year.
There we go. It looks like he is checked in, and now it is the number 2 of Walker Fowler coming across in. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Little scoring glitch there for a moment, but Walker Fowler getting it across the line in the number 3 spot. 25 points on the day for him. And here comes your 4th place ride, Josh Merritt. A big charge there at the end, got to Walker Fowler. Something happened in the little bit of racetrack there, gave up some distance and some time, but still crossing the line in a solid 4th place position here today.
So good day, or solid day for Josh Merritt.
Jay Shadron holds off Hunter Hart, rounds out your top 5. Whew.
that was a heated battle.
58 seconds, the margin of victory for Bryson Neal over Wyatt Wilkin. Walker Fowler another 27 seconds back, then 15 seconds back to Josh Merritt, another 10 seconds back to Jay Shadron. Hunter Hart 2 seconds behind Shadron in that 6th place position. Should be seeing Adam McGill and Brandon Owens checking in the number 7 and 8 place spot. And there is McGill.
And a tough break for Adam. Had a great ride going, was sitting in a podium position, and obviously maybe a mistake, tagged a tree, something. And a salvage day for him. Looking forward to post-race interviews, hoping Walker Fowler maybe touches on, you noticed it too early, Johnny, just some of the head shakes and the body language of Fowler, like maybe we were even anticipating maybe a mechanical, but he rebounded.
Yep, and there is Brandon Owens, and that is your 8th place rider checked in. A great ride for the young man on the Sturdivant Racing Power Sports machine.
And it sounds like Zach Heron standing by with our winner, the Bidwell Bunny.
Hey guys, I am down there with Bryson. We've given you a new nickname. You're the Bidwell Bunny. You're just hopping and skipping around, just floating around this track, no problems. Another win in the books, man. Take us through how you got it done.
Man, I'll take it. Those Okashawks tuned by Impact Solutions and this Phoenix Yamaha, this thing was hopping through the woods out there. You put this Yamaha on a fast track, and just like Bill Balance used to say back in the day, it's freaking gone. So this thing was just handling superb today. I love the flow. The dirt in the woods was absolutely amazing. Whenever I went out in the morning and I checked it out, I was like, oh, baby, it looks good. Yeah, around the fields and the edges was dry, but, man, back in the woods, there's some really good dirt that turned up. And whenever we was able to make pass into the lead, we got by Walker in the creek. I got upside Long J, and he backed off and checked up and let me go on by. And whenever we got out front, man, we was able to just put down a heater and just kind of ride our own race and have clear vision and just have fun, man. The fans out there were incredible today. I love coming to Indiana. It's kind of like a second home. I love the soil, love the tracks. And, yeah, just had a blast out there.
Certainly no GNCC win comes easy, but got to think of today, a day like today, you almost would draw up, right? You get out front relatively easily, and then after that, you're just kind of hitting your marks. It seems like everything falling right into place for you.
Yeah, it's just trying to ride hard, but also take care of the bike and think about the long term and the championship chase, But it's really, really hard not to just uncork that bike on a track like that. That thing just tears up tracks like that, and I was just having a blast out there. First lap was pretty sketchy, I can't lie, with a little bit of dust that we had, and we was all in a pack, and I got some dust in my goggles, and then whenever I got that pit stop and I got that fresh set of goggles, I could see so good, and with that clear track, clear vision, it was really great. So yeah, man, we're just having a blast. The team's on point, the bike's on point. I'm feeling really good, and we're really happy to get another win this year.
There it is. Well, Bunny hops his way to an XC1 win.
There you go. Another day at the office for Bryson Neal, Johnny.
Yeah, it's making it look easy, and so much work goes into it, so much sacrifice that nobody sees behind the scenes. All they see on race day is Bryson Neal makes it look easy, but today he made it look very easy.
Yeah, he did. Just absolutely sensational. Grabs him another win, inching ever closer toward Barry Hawk. Got a ways to go before he catches up to Barry Hawk, but it's within the realm of possibilities over maybe next season after. And a man who needed a podium today and wanted it, and always a fun interview. Jackson Burrell standing by with our Wyatt Wilkin.
Yep, he got it today. Wyatt Wilkin, best finish of the season, second place here overall. Take us through it.
Man, that was a fun one. We're at the point now, we got 2 DNFs. We need to pull every Hail Mary we can, and I lined up full outside. I don't think my dad thought it was a good idea, but I was like, you know what, dude? Why not? We either come out last or we come out first. We came out mid-pack. It wasn't what I expected, but it was still a good day. Started off like 7th or 8th. Just rode there for a while. I knew that this track was going to be really, really fast, and a lot of these guys were going to be hard to pass. I knew that I had endurance on my side, and working out, I've just been working my butt off. I was like, you know what? If we can just stay behind these guys, ride them out for 2 laps, and they just start picking them off. And I think in like a lap and a half, I passed 4 guys, and I was just on a move. Got up to Adam there on the 4th lap, and my God, dude, he made that quad wide. I was doing everything in my power to get around him. He's throwing middle fingers up at me, just messing around, and finally end up getting him on like a switchback back and forth. Got by him, and then I was in second. I was like, all right, now I got to find Bryson. We came through on the last lap. I think he was like 56, 58 seconds out. I was like, I'm not settled for second. I got to figure out what Bryson's doing different than me, and I put everything I had out there on the track. I think we still ended up 56, 58 seconds. He still got something I don't got. Maybe if I can get a good start and run up there with him, we can figure it out.
Hey, still quite the race you had, Wyatt. How do you feel going into the next round?
Feel good, confident. I came into this one with a good attitude, just putting everything behind me. I know I can ride my four-wheeler just as well as any of these other guys, and I'm ready for Mason Dixon. It's fast like this one. I came from the back of the pack, so watch out, guys.
You heard it, guys. Back up to you.
I like that. I like the focus there by Wyatt of, stoked for second, but he wanted a piece of Bryson, if nothing else, just to kind of key off of him and see what he's doing. And that's cool. That's good to hear from him.
Yeah, and he said it. We need some Hail Marys. I don't think things are that bad off, but he did make up a big chunk of points today on several of the riders right in front of him. John Glotta, Stephen Harrell. He's a good day for him today. Solid points.
And it sounds like Jackson Burrell standing by with Walker Fowler.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Walker Fowler. Walker, we saw a lot of position changes for you today. Take us through it. Tell us what all happened out there.
Yeah, I think I'm better off getting a bad start. I had a decent start and then just instantly got arm pump, battled the quad till I pitted for fuel, and luckily that 5-6 second break is a nice little reset, and then I could work my way forward again. I just had I didn't really make any passes, just everybody in front of me kind of either missed lines or got hung up with lap traffic, and I was just able to get around them that way. Like I said, I don't think I really passed anybody today. I pulled. That's the most I pulled over for people. McGill had a lot more pace than I did. Bryson, just is on another level. He just blew our doors off. Who else I let go? Wyatt had to let go. Brandon Owens I had to let go. I just was had the anchor thrown out there for the first hour and a half, but brought it in. Just got a lot to work on.
All right, Walker, I've got to ask you, man, how do you feel going into the next one?
I hope I feel better going into the next one than I do right now.
All right, you heard it, guys. That's Walker Fowler. Back up to you.
Oh, Mikey.
Yeah, that's your boy. That's your guy.
Yeah, man, that's I get it, the frustration. When you're on top, you've been on top for so long and battling near the top, you expect that out of yourself. But, it's been a tough road for Walker Fowler, especially these last couple of rounds. But, if a bad day is on the box, maybe a little perspective is time for him to take in and say, okay, I'm on the box. We got some good points today. We'll do what we can to get better. We got 2 weeks to get a little better.
He is still one of the top 3 and usually one of the top 2 most competitive guys in the country. It's insane. Specialized race recap. A sunny, dusty day in Indiana, starting with our AMSOIL Moto Hero. Very cool moment. And the Bidwell Bullet poised and ready to go to work on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha. Ricky Towery with the waving of the flag, and boy, things got gnarly from the get-go. I love the hand in the air like, what the heck? We're already starting this right here. J-Shat pulling a... And this one, I couldn't tell from my angle. I believe Tiemann did get credit for this one. It was between him and Kenny Schick. From where I was standing, I could not tell between the two of them. But Alex Tiemann on an absolute another level today.
Yeah, he controlled that one all day long, but it was Jay Shadron out front in that XC1 class, grabbing that early lead and pushing the pace, and Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal going to battle behind him, and then Bryson Neal all at once making the pass on both Fowler and Shadron, getting to the lead. Adam McGill was on a charge today, all the way up to the number 2 spot at one point, but it was hard for anyone to match this man right there. The Bidwell Bunny just kept hippity-hopping his way and opening up the lead.
McGill into the pits. Had his wife and puppies here this weekend, so feeling right at home. But yeah, once the Phoenix Racing Yamaha of Bryson Neal got out front, it was just the Bryson Neal show. Just completely in control the whole time, and a big shout out to Wyatt Wilkin and a sensational ride by him. And Johnny, we had battles throughout today, though. I mean, you could go all the way back to 7th place before really sorting anything out as Bryson Neal comes in for the win.
Yeah, I mean, there was times where any of the riders inside the top 7 or 8 looked like they were going to be the rider that was in second. Yeah. It was just such a mix-up through the mid part of this race. Only there in the final lap did things start to spread out a little bit, but it was just such great racing action all day long.
It was a great one. Bryson Neal takes the win. Wyatt Wilkins second. Fowler rounding out the box with Merritt fourth. Shadron fifth. Man, we talked about all these guys today. The battles were so great. Hart, McGill, Brandon Owens, Stephen Harrell, and Austin Abney, the Indiana native, rounding out your top 10 here today. Johnny, another one in the books. We're over that halfway point of the season, and it sounds like Pro Motocross has already started out there with the air horns. But thoughts on today? The obvious takeaway is Bryson Neal is, I think we called him Captain America, Superman, the Bidwell Bunny. Like, we're running out of nicknames.
When you talk about a guy that's out front that much, you've got to come up with new stuff to say, because it's just repetitive to say. But the reality is he's just a little bit better than everybody else right now, and he's able to do it from getting the start and being out front. If he has to come through the pack, he can get these wins, and I mean, it speaks for itself that we've had 7 rounds of racing and he's won 5 of them.
Wyatt Wilkin was, from what I saw talking to him pre-race, I've never seen him kind of isolate himself from his buddies hanging out there at the Action Off-Road pits. He was over in his own trailer. He was wrenching on his own bike. He seemed very, very focused, and he was not short with me by any means. He was still fun, Wyatt Wilkin that he always is, but it just seemed like a different man, and maybe that was for the better. There was something just extra focused about Wyatt today, and it showed with the second-place finish.
Yeah, I mean, his second podium of 2025. You know, this is a rider that finished on the overall podium last year for the year in that third-place spot. That's why he runs at number 3, and to do that, you've got to be on the box. So today, he got that done. Great ride in that second-place spot, and I think it really shows he's kind of reinvigorated himself and his season, and he wants to start climbing that ladder. He's 7th in points right now, but he made up some good points today.
Big takeaway?
It's hard not to say Bryson Neal. I mean, he's just so good right now. He just never really looked like he was under any pressure. Didn't look like he ever doubted himself, his machine, his team. He's just firing on all cylinders right now, and I think it's going to be tough to beat him.
I'd basically echo those thoughts, but I'll throw out a different one just for the sake of saying something different. Jay Shad gets a podium before summer break. I think Mason Dixon or Snowshoe, just there's something about those two rounds. I feel like it's got a Jay Shad vibe to it.
Jay's done very well at Snowshoe a number of times in the past. I definitely could see that being a reality, and he's been solidly there. You know, it's not a one-off thing. You know, we see some guys that have one good race, and still that's difficult to do, but Jay just seems to be building. He's getting better and better every round, and he's up in the mix, and it's cool to see.
Love to see it. Well, that is going to wrap things up for us here today. We've got more racing action coming to you tomorrow on RacerTV.com. We'll knock a couple wheels off and go two-wheel racing, and then we've got Bagger Racing League in Hastings coming up in the 24th, and then we'll be back with the Mason Dixon for round number 8 here to close out the month of May. But that is going to wrap things up for us here today. On behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Aaron, Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, Matt, Leah, Mike, Josh, Adam, John, Kirsten, and Mike, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, our engineer, filmer, Brian Risch, our manager, Dan Reinhart, our official spotter, Hollywood, our second engineer, Jack Renner, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our replay operator, and a big happy birthday to Cam Cotter, our director, Don Hampton, producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and you've been watching GNCC on RacerTV.com.